Yo, yo. Welcome to the stream. We are gonna watch some videos because I got sent this. Oh, sorry. We're gonna start with the Halo because Mint Blitz is kind of the only person right now who is doing like bite-sized, informative Halo content. There's not really a lot of content around Halo to begin with, and so I hate to like react to his stuff every week, but also it's like the only place to kind of get concise, consolidated information. So if you haven't followed him, you got to follow him if you want to stay updated on Halo. All right, let's check this out.
Next Halo game. What's up, everybody? Today we are talking about the next Halo title. There has been so much information behind the scenes coming out, and you need to know about it. This video is going to serve as an informative video so you know exactly what is happening with Halo at the moment. There's been a lot of rumors. Some other people have actually found substantial information, so today we're going to cut through absolutely everything.
Can I just say,
this is what you need to know about for the
Halo CE anniversary graphics. I hate them. I hate this art style. Like the look of this, everything's super bright and gross, and I can't stand it. I never play with anniversary graphics when I play the game. I can't do it. It's so bad. Anyways, continue. I just had to.
Halo game. So first and foremost, the substantial information you need to know. Serasia posted the other day, 343 has registered 2 different title IDs on Xbox Live, which means they might be working.
It's 343. I wish someone else registered 2 different title IDs.
On releasing something standalone soon. Basically, this could mean anything, be on any platform and any game. It does, however, mean with 100% certainty that 343 has at least one new thing they can launch. Now, I mentioned 2 different title IDs on Xbox Live. One, of course, is Halo Infinite, and this, of course, led to speculation as to what 343 could possibly be working on. One guest, Grunt.api, said, what if Project Tatanka, the Battle Royale by Certain Affinity, never had its development stopped? What if they finally hid the leaks so we don't know it's being worked on? What if it has evolved and it may potentially launch this year? Now, the reason why I say this specifically is at the start of the year, Cobrile, an Xbox insider who makes his predictions every single year, and a lot of people were surprised by this, he said Certain Affinity's standalone multiplayer Halo game, and he said it was coming out this year, and we have the Microsoft Showcase next month. Please don't get your hopes up, but this was so substantial I had to tell you guys. If it happens, wonderful. That would be so good for the Halo community. If it doesn't, oh well.
Would it be good for the Halo community? I don't know. Yo, you here? Yeah, I'm here. Here's the thing. Infinite wasn't good for the Halo community. Like, I don't know. Like, the game was a disaster. Halo's at an all-time low. I guess there's nowhere to go but up, right? So, I mean, technically it's okay. But should we put the frame on? Frame's kind of cool, huh? Yeah. I'll be honest. I've lost all hope in 343 to put out anything good from Halo. Like, it's been 10 years. Why do we keep thinking like, why do we get excited for something that 343 touches around Halo when it's like everything they've touched for the last 10 years has been terrible?
343 at least has a second project they're working on. It will be shown when it's ready. Some
just don't
other
want
people
them working
said
on any of it.
Halo Infinite on mobile or some standalone mobile game.
Halo Infinite on mobile would be a disaster. No, please don't let that happen.
Really hope it isn't this. I don't want it to be another Spartan Assault or anything like that. There are so many spin-off games in the Halo universe, and the Halo community could really use a well-polished game finished at launch, and it comes out around the end of this year.
Not
Now,
gonna
if
happen.
I had to put money on my
Not
guess,
gonna
what
happen.
I think this could be is it would have to be Certain Affinity's Halo game. Of course, 343 is working in conjunction with Certain Affinity. If you were asking me, Romy, what is this second game we don't know about yet? That is what I would guess. Now, a lot of people are messaging me and saying, Romy, could it possibly be Halo 5 Guardians on PC? And I even had people tagging me on Twitter saying, Mint Blitz, Halo 5 Guardians appeared in my Xbox library for PC. Port incoming, and yes, if it was a port of a game, just like how Minecraft has different versions, that would qualify for the second user ID Serasia spoke about, but Halo 5 appearing on the Xbox library for PC is a bug. It's a glitch. It's been happening off and on for the last few years. The reason I think Halo 5 on PC is a long way away is to get the frame rate above 60 FPS requires an absolutely monumental amount of work. Even with Halo Infinite, to get it above 60 FPS, the amount of engine work 343 had to do, again, it's in the realm of possibility. It may happen in future. A lot of people have requested Halo
Look how delayed
5 on PC, but
you see, it's like a whole second delay from when he shoots someone, hits someone, and then they die. It's so crazy. What's the difference between stream V and H? Just take a guess, look at it, let me know, get back to me what your thoughts are.
I don't think this is the case. What's going to be very interesting, and I might actually do a tweet about this after this video goes live, I might just straight up tag the 343 devs on Twitter and say, should we expect anything this year, or should we temper our expectations? Because in past years, when 343 Industries has nothing to show, they tell us in advance. They say, look, we're not going to be at the show, we're not going to be at the Microsoft presentation, please don't expect anything from us, and we're getting closer now, so now might be the time to ask. In any case, this is a big bag of hopium, as it's the first definitive proof that a new Halo game is on the way.
It's not nothing.
Halo Infinite was ending its life cycle. That definitely seems to be the case now. How far along is this mystery game? We don't know. There are so many support studios working on Halo at the moment. It could come out at the end of this year, the next year, we don't know. If it turns out to be a spin-off title, fantastic. It means Microsoft might actually be utilizing Halo's potential for the first time in a long time. And if it is a spin-off game, that means inevitably there'll be a mainline game as well, which will make people very happy. Ultimately, to the Halo community, it gives us something to look forward to. The fact that we know for sure there is new Halo projects in the works and they're on the way is really good news for us. There is still the rumor floating around that the Master Chief Collection, the MCC, is going to launch on the PlayStation. I'm seeing a lot of posts on Twitter at the moment asking PlayStation users would they play Halo if it does come to PlayStation, and honestly, over half of the comments I saw said no, they would not play Halo. If they did want to play Halo, it's already available on PC, so why get it on the PlayStation?
Exactly.
It'll be very interesting if Halo does launch on the PlayStation Network, what sort of effect it will have on the population. So there you have it. What I want to see from you guys today is what do you think this game is? Is it a battle royale? Is it a fully fledged game from Certain Affinity? Is it a spin-off game? Or is it for mobile? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm curious as to what you have to say. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you.
Hear me right now, Halo fans. Hear me right now. You need to give up on Halo. Okay, here's what I mean. Let me set. You have to have zero expectations. You have to have negative expectations for Halo. Because if you have any expectations that Halo's going to be great, especially after the last decade we had of Halo, if you have any expectations or ideas or thoughts, and you're like, oh, I hope this is really good, da, 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 you have no choice but to be let down. You will be completely let down. You're just going to get let down. However, if you have zero expectations or negative expectations and you're just like, it's over, it's done, Halo had a great run, it's whatever, but then all of a sudden, by a miracle, which won't happen, 343 and Microsoft come out with a great Halo game, then guess what? You don't lose anything. You don't lose anything. In fact, your expectations get blown out of the water and you're happy and you get to play. So anyways, great video. As always, concise to the point. It'll be obviously interesting to see what those two registered title IDs are, but like, yeah, I mean, Halo Infinite was over before it began. Like, this was not going anywhere at all. But great video. Make sure you follow Mint Blitz.
In Super Mario 64, there's a star in cool.
Xbox plan for. I want to talk about the Game Pass.
In Super Mario 64, there's a star in cool.
So this video got recommended to me a couple days ago, and then also someone sent it to me in a group chat that I'm in. It's Super Mario 64's unopenable door that has finally been opened. What's up, Co? Welcome to the stream.
In Super Mario 64, there's a star in Cool Mountain that goes as follows. You enter the cabin at the top of the mountain, go all the way down the slide, and then exit from the cabin at the bottom of the mountain. And that spawns the star for you to collect. But something everyone always tries is going back into the door. Though as you find out, that doesn't work. And let me tell you, as a kid, I really wanted to get back in there. I mean, we were just in there, but the idea of a door that you can't open from this side just made me want to open it that much more. And let me clarify something. For most doors in the game, opening them just takes you from one side of the door to the other. And so if you clip through the door, like by getting pushed by an object, then you can bypass the door. But some doors are special, because opening them unloads the current area and warps you to a new area. If you clip through this kind of door, you don't actually go to the new area. Instead, you just end up in a sort of fake area behind the door. In other words, the only way to load the new area is to literally open the door, because that triggers the transition between areas. Now, the door in Cool Mountain is the kind that loads a new area. See, opening it unloads the slide area and loads the outside area. Now, since there are two different areas involved, there are two different door objects involved. There's one door in the slide area that warps you outside. Everyone's opened that door before. And there's one door that's outside that warps you back into the slide. But no one's ever opened that door before. So to emphasize, this is actually a fully functional door, despite that it was given a special model
no door
that doesn't
handle,
have
though.
a doorknob on the outside. So the reason you can't open the door from the outside is not because the door doesn't work, but simply because the cabin wall blocks you from getting close enough to the door to open it. As you can see on the right, the wall triangles.
There's an invisible wall. Those sneaky buggers at Nintendo. Okay, I always wondered, like, why? That's why. Did you see the 3-hour video on invisible walls? No, I didn't.
Cover the whole
I haven't sat down for 3 hours and watched a video about Mario 64 invisible walls, although I probably will watch it at some point.
Whole side of the cabin without any opening for the door. But if the walls were gone, as I've done here with hacks, then we could get close enough to the door to open it and re-enter the cabin. That raises the question, can we open the door without any hacks? Well, going back to the door, let's look at it from above. Here are the floor triangles around the cabin. Note that there are no floor triangles inside the cabin. Here's the door's hitbox, so if Mario walks into that hitbox, he opens the door. And to emphasize, he must be walking to open the door. No other action works. And then here's the cabin wall and its hitbox. If Mario enters that hitbox, he gets pushed south. So the door's hitbox basically has two parts to it. The south part that's inside the wall hitbox, and the north part that's not inside the wall hitbox, but it's in the air. Remember, for Mario to open the door, he has to walk into the door hitbox. But that's seemingly impossible for both parts of the hitbox for different reasons. For the south part of the hitbox, if Mario tries to walk into it, the wall pushes him away to the south. This wall push happens every time he moves forwards, and so he's not able to be inside the door's hitbox when the game checks if he's touching it. And for the north part of the hitbox, it is possible to get there. See, we can deliver the baby penguin to the mother penguin, and then re-grab the baby penguin to make the mother penguin get mad at us and follow us around. And the mother penguin has a hitbox that pushes Mario outwards. So we can use the mother penguin's hitbox to push Mario through the cabin wall and into the door hitbox. But even though he touches the north part of the hitbox, he still doesn't open the door.
Yo. How do they... That's crazy.
Because he's in free fall, not in the walking action.
Okay, right, he has to be
the door
walking.
seems impossible to open, and that's what everyone believed for 28 years. Until April 22nd, 2024.
That's so blurry.
When Alex Palix posted this video on Discord.
Alex Palix.
He had found a way to do it, but how does it work? Well, we already knew you could use the mother penguin to clip behind the wall, but of course, since there's no floor there, that puts Mario into freefall, and you can't open doors in freefall, only when walking. So to solve this, Alex Palix did a turnaround. See, there's an interesting thing about the turning around action, which I've explained in a previous video, and that's what actually gave Alex the idea to use it to open the cabin door. But I'll explain it again now. So when Mario turns around, he goes into the turning around action, and then a bit later, he transitions into the walking action because he finished turning around. Here's the code for the turning around action.
Do these people have jobs? Genuine question. Or is this their job?
And here's the relevant logic. So when Mario finishes turning around, he goes into the walking action. But a bit earlier, we have the code that handles his movement. This one says if Mario leaves the ground, put him into the freefall action. So the issue is that the programmers never expected these two conditions to happen on the same frame. If they do, then the logic goes like this. First, Mario left the ground, so he goes into the freefall action. And then second, Mario finished turning around, and so he goes into the walking action. So that first action change gets overwritten by the second action change. And so even though Mario left the ground, he still ends up in the walking action. Now this exploit by itself just results in one frame of walking in midair before transitioning to freefall on the next frame. But that one frame of walking in the air is all we needed, and that was enough to open the door. Let's play it again. On this frame, the Mother Penguin's hitbox pushes Mario through the wall and into the air. And also on that frame, Mario finished turning around. So first his action got set to freefall, and then his action got set to walking. And since he's now walking inside the door's hitbox, he opens the door. And you'll notice that Mario downwarps to the death barrier when he opens the door, because Mario's programmed to snap down to the floor every frame when he's in the door opening action. But fortunately, the death barrier doesn't kill him because it has...
Bro, look at that. He's right below me.
Has no effect when Mario's in a cutscene action like opening a door. Now one question that this brings up is, does this technique save time in a run? After all, if we can enter the cabin at the bottom, then we can just exit from there and get the star, skipping the whole slide. So let's do a side-by-side comparison. On the left, I'm showing the current strat for the star, which involves entering the cabin at the top of the level, going all the way down, and then exiting from the cabin at the bottom of the level to get the star. And on the right, I'm showing the potential new strat for the star, which involves going into the cabin at the bottom of the level and then immediately exiting to get the star. But even in this new strat, we still have to spend time going to the bottom of the course. And then there's the whole process of interacting with the Mother Penguin and luring her into place. And interestingly, triggering the star this way actually messes up the camera during the star's cutscene, though that doesn't cause any trouble. And so in conclusion, even though we can use this technique to skip the whole slide, it doesn't actually save any time. But regardless, it is pretty cool that Super Mario 64's unopenable door has now finally been opened. And now for this video's member event. In case you missed it from my last video, all my regular videos from now on are going to have a member event at the end, where all the member names participate in the event.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Now, last time there were... Further ado, let's begin. Okay, off to a good start. In the back, there's a mad dash to get out of the cabin and squeeze through that tiny opening. But it looks like everybody made it onto the slide. Oof, we already lost our first person.
I'll bet.
And there goes another one. Man, you guys are ruthless. Is winning really worth pushing your fellow competitors off the edge? Yes. Yes, it is. And now for the first...
Who's the final?
They all make it across. Oh, we lost humanity. And for the other 5, they all made it. But who got first? Well, if we check the instant replay, we can see that Midnight Posting was the first across the finish line. So, congrats to our first place finisher, Midnight Posting.
Nice.
And good job to the other people who also made it to the...
It's so crazy that these games, they're still pushing the boundaries and like figuring out all this crazy stuff all these years later. It's unreal. Great video. Make sure you follow this guy. Give it a thumbs up. He has a lot of classic, great videos. A lot of videos. All right. I've been waiting to watch this one.
This is officially your yacht. Woo! Congrats, man. The only catch.
All right. Mr. Beast video. I think he dropped this like on Saturday or something. But yeah, let's check it out. Protect the Yacht and Keep It by Mr. Beast.
This is officially your yacht! Woo! Congrats, man! The only catch is, I'm gonna do everything in my power to destroy it. And it's up to you to protect it from attacks like 100 cannonballs, massive explosives, and so much more. You gotta be kidding me. And you have exactly 24 hours to build defenses for your brand new yacht. Time has started. Good luck. All right, dude. Let's see if
let's see what he does.
Sean, using my credit card, immediately bought a bunch of supplies and began building his defense against phase 1.
Everyone always does this. All these videos, they always do shipping containers, cars. And there's going to be a big pool of water in here at some point.
100 cannon shots. Run me through your plan.
My plan is to build a giant wall, angled to hopefully block the cannon fire.
And after working all throughout the night, into the next morning, and all the way through a complete 24 hours, Sean was going to have to call it. Because the time is up. Let's go shoot some cannons. Will his defense protect his new yacht from 100 cannonballs, or will we start this video over with a new contestant? Phase 1 of 4 has begun.
I'm nervous.
All right, Sean, we're about to fire the cannons at your new yacht.
As you should be.
Aim the cannon! Fire!
Oh, that's just going right through.
Oh, those are
Just ripping
small.
through those storage containers.
Yeah, that thing's
Cannons were
toast.
melting through his defense like butter.
Oh,
Toast, man.
yeah, no, it's over.
I lost a little piece of
Dude,
my soul.
And probably a piece of your yacht.
they should have done the cannons later. The cannons are the most powerful thing.
Cannons were already damaging Sean's yacht, and we're just getting started.
These cannons are tearing me up. She's a goner. I guarantee it just went straight through.
We kept firing cannon after cannon, ripping through Sean's defense.
Cannons are way more hardcore than I thought they were.
And after a torturous 3 hours,
3 hours of
somehow,
cannons.
God, I hope my yacht isn't shredded.
Sean's yacht actually survived. You have a tiny hole and it hit a rail. Dude, bro, a cannonball hit right here. But that was only the least of the damage.
No.
The
Wait.
bathroom in Sean's yacht was completely destroyed.
Look at that mirror right
That
there.
was only the least of
cannonballs
the
hit your
damage.
yacht, and you nearly survived phase 1. I'll take it. 3 out of 100, it's pretty good. No, I need you to take phase 2 more seriously. Okay. And if you don't think I'm being serious,
Jeez.
I'll just show you. Bring out the
I thought it was
bomb!
worse than that.
In 24 hours, those 15 C-bombs will explode around your yacht. Oh, no. And by the way, we tested these things before the video. They are extremely powerful.
15 big booms in a circle around this.
I'd be so nervous working with this kind of stuff.
Thing. How am I going to protect this?
All it takes is one idiot.
I'm going to go hit the hay in a yacht, surrounded by bombs, come back fresh in a couple hours.
Sean got up the next morning and immediately got to work. But because of the severe thunderstorm, he couldn't use his crane.
Why did they put him in it and surround it with bombs? That seems like a little bit of a risk, no? What?
Brutal. We're doing everything today by hand.
How are you gonna pad up the yacht?
Mattresses.
That's right. Sean's big plan is mattresses. And his workers bought every mattress in town.
All of those mattresses, we'll start ferrying them back and forth. There we go.
All the way
What?
around.
Every inch.
I can't even tell this is a yacht anymore. It just looks like a bunch of mattresses.
In 2 hours, we blow up the mines, and he hasn't really done as much as I thought.
This is so hard
You know
because
how
it's in the
much
middle
easier
of
this would be
water.
with the crane? You know how much easier this would be if it wasn't in water?
Yes.
Clock's ticking! This is not looking good. I don't think his yacht's gonna survive.
3, 2, 1, time's up.
That's all I'm gonna get.
So he has some mattresses and water jugs. Carl, can you cover his
I
ears?
actually think the mattresses will
This might be
will
the
keep
most
it.
hideous thing I've ever seen.
What I'm getting from you is you don't think this is gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see if the
I think
yacht
it's gonna be
sinks.
totally
Any
fine.
last words?
Can I have the hat?
I will give you my hat if your yacht survives.
All right.
3, 2, There's no way that didn't do damage. It's over. Come on.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Those are easy compared to.
It looks good. She's still standing. We did it.
Yeah, they weren't even close enough.
That's right. I'm not sure what to say. Somehow, these mattresses were actually a very effective defense against the mines. In front of us is phase 3.
Here's what I still don't get. Look at this. Look. Why do they insist on putting the bombs in the water first, and then let's work all day around the bombs? It's like, put the bombs out last when everyone's gone and it's safe. That's insane. Like, yeah, let's put the bombs out. Okay, now let's get to work. Now that the bombs are out and we're surrounded by explosives, let's get right in the middle and start working, and hopefully an accident doesn't happen. Like, what? Do the bombs last. Put the bombs out last. Then, when you're all done working, you like, that just is crazy to me, no? Unless those are just props right there that, like, what? Anyways, let's continue.
Fireworks straight at your yacht, followed by a barrage of flaming arrows a level higher, and finally, catapults launching flaming death balls from the sky.
Ooh, the death balls could be
And
fun.
by now, Sean's build strategies were getting pretty efficient. He gave his crew orders.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get those containers moved into place for phase 3.
Then got some much-needed rest while they worked.
Now it's on to trebuchets, fireworks, and flaming arrows.
What is your plan?
My plan is to basically get more shipping containers and build a giant wall. And I'm basically just hoping that that wall will be tall enough to block the fireworks and the flaming catapult debris from hitting the yacht.
That's so sketch. This whole thing is so sketch.
I think his idea is actually really good,
Hard confidence now.
Okay.
but I do think he should like try and wrap his yacht in something.
Yeah, man. You went from a pathetic build that let multiple cannonballs
Because
through
if
to
those
this, which I actually think might work. He's currently taking
if those flaming arrows hit one of them, if he gets one flaming arrow on the mattress, the whole thing goes up in flames. So I don't think it's smart to leave those mattresses there.
lake water, flushing it through sprinklers to wet his mattresses. All right, we're about to go inspect his defenses. Now a bad time to
Okay,
tell
he's
you guys
wetting
I'm
them.
afraid of
That's
heights.
good.
This is a 40-foot tall, solid wall. When we fling the catapults, they're gonna fly over the shipping containers where I'm at and hopefully hit his yacht, right? Nah, you're gonna miss. Hey, Chandler,
He's gonna
envision
build a wall
your
and make Mr.
catapult
Beast
with
pay for it.
giant flaming balls.
I got you.
Ready, aim, fire! That's the
Yup.
one. Dead hit!
Yeah!
Your boat's going down!
Uh-oh.
Not gonna happen.
All right, so why are you so confident? You have 30 seconds where you could be building, and you're doing nothing.
We're ready. It's covered up. I built the wall. Everything's
He's
wet back
sunburnt
there.
up
Do
the
we even need to wait
wazoo.
20 seconds?
No, let it rip.
Let's do it. Time's up. Phase 3 is upon us. Catapults, flaming arrows, and a million fireworks.
Let's see if his yacht light's on fire.
Ready the firework? Any last words?
Good luck.
Fire the fireworks! Oh my God!
That doesn't look real, Will.
That is wild! Oh my God!
How is it that?
And while
Yeah, that's
these
gonna
flaming
do
fireworks are
literally
going off,
nothing.
I'm gonna tell you about Bloons Tower Defense 6.
At
Tower
most,
Defense is a game I've actually been playing since I was a teenager.
it's just going to be covered in dust.
No joke. I used
gonna
to
be
literally play
covered
this
in
in
dust and
English
soot.
class when I was 15.
Dude, I see smoke on his yacht.
And they're back with their 6th installment of the game, Bloons Tower Defense 6. Oh my God.
How is it? How is it doing that?
It's just going to be covered in
Defense,
dust.
basically, you defend yourself
That's how
against
it
the
goes with
balloons by
fireworks.
placing monkey towers and heroes on the map.
I want to celebrate something right now.
Goodness, bro.
You're hitting his yacht. Oh, it just hit the top of his yacht.
Whoa!
Just hit his yacht.
They put in a full-on explosion sound effect when a tiny firework hit the
Celebrate
yacht.
something right now. Goodness, bro.
You're hitting his yacht. Oh, it just hit the top of his yacht.
The firework just hit his yacht. What the arrows? Now it's time for
arrows will be
1,000 flaming
interesting.
arrows.
those have like no accuracy. Those aren't going anywhere. It looks sick though. Yeah, not even close. We all knew that wasn't gonna do anything.
Ready? And because of the sponsor, the next thing we're flinging are balloons. On fire. Here we go! Basically flaming bowling balls.
Okay. Oh, that's sick.
That's going straight for his yacht. Oh, that hit the shipping container right by
Oh,
his
so
yacht.
are they gonna?
Let's go,
Are they gonna adjust? Are they gonna adjust their aim?
Buy anything in game, use Mr. Beast in the supporter creator code if you want to support me and help me do more videos like this. Make sure you download
Those
Tower
catapults are
Defense.
sick.
If you download it right now, you
It's like
can get
Lord
a
of the
Mr.
Rings
Beast pack
vibes.
for free. Oh my god!
Oh dang.
Sean, I'm feeling worried for you right now, bro. I'm still feeling good. I think I'm good.
This is a heavy balloon. Dude,
I
this
think
looks
you'll be
nothing
fine.
like a balloon. You just don't look at enough balloons. The defenses are falling. Let it rip! And if just one of these catapult shots lands on Sean's
Oh, that's
yacht,
sick.
this whole video might be over.
That was a little closer than I thought it was gonna be.
Fire the final catapult!
Oh, that looks so cool.
Oh, that's a direct hit. Oh,
Oh, he's toast. It's over. Oh!
The only thing burning.
Oh, that shot was crazy. How close was that? Give us
you know
another
what,
angle.
Sean, you might be laughing now, but you are not ready for this final phase. In 24 hours from now, we will be attacking
Maybe the
your
final
yacht
angle,
with
maybe
a
it wasn't that
barrage
close.
of machine guns. Any questions about phase 4? In addition to every single phase,
Do they have an
far in
angle?
this video combined, the fireworks,
If they have an angle on the boat, it's over.
the catapults, the
They definitely
arrows,
do. They
the
must not.
100 cannons.
You have 100 more cannonballs?
And rather than a bunch of bombs, this giant monstrosity, borderline nuclear missile, questionably even illegal, island-flattening sea mine.
All of that on top of machine guns?
Yeah.
Today is phase 4 of the challenge. The general plan is to just put a ton of stuff.
Between my yacht and the up-and-coming attacks, we're gonna use the remaining crates to try to block any cracks the bullets might get through.
That container is just perfectly placed for this outside perch.
Use as much dirt as we can to create an impact barrier.
Right in front of the wall where the cannons
Oh
are
yeah, the
shooting.
dirt's
Since the
really
giant
good
bomb can be
idea. The
sent from
dirt will
behind,
stop
I'm just
most
gonna do
of
what
it.
I can with the time remaining and close the back with water-filled barrels.
This challenge is tough. I mean, I'm away from home, missing the family, and the water element makes everything so difficult because you can't just walk out to the boat and put stuff on it. It's made it so difficult.
Holy
That
crap,
bomb
did you
has me
guys see
nervous.
that?
Yes.
Makes everything so difficult.
Okay, to give you an idea of the scale of these productions, look at all these lights right here. All these super bright lights to backlight everything at night. Okay. So you got that on what I'm assuming is his big property
Because
land.
you can't just
And then look at the amount of people. So then you got more lighting, right? Cranes, lighting. You have the set here with all the things staged off. But then, like, look at all these cars. All these people, construction workers all up in here. All these people, all these guys working on this set. Massive generators to power everything.
walk out to the boat.
Huge cranes. It is just such a full-on crazy. Here's a massive tractor. There's the bomb. It is the scale of these productions is it's crazy. I like this view. I think this is really, really cool.
And put stuff on it. It's made it so difficult. That bomb.
There's
has me
more
nervous.
cars
He has
even further.
multiple layers of metal shields for the machine guns, a mountain of sand, and a bunch of other stuff to stop the cannons. He still has the tall wall for the projectiles and the soaked mattresses. 5, 4,
Oh wait,
3,
it's everything
2,
at once?
1. Everybody stop! Time is up.
I think this has all been a bad dream.
No, this is real life. Even though it's my job to destroy your yacht, I genuinely hope you win this thing.
Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted a boat like this. I just got to get through this final phase and we're home free.
When you think about it, 100 hours ago, there was just a boat. And now, there's all of this. I don't know how you did it. You nervous?
No.
That makes literally no sense
but it got thrashed
whatsoever.
a little
This
bit.
final phase may just be your worst nightmare. Ready
Wait,
your
do they-
weapons! On top
Oh, that guy doesn't
of all
have a
these
silencer.
machine guns, we have 100 cannons, a giant mine, the equivalent of all 15 from earlier, all of the fireworks, arrows, and catapults, all together in one final phase. Fire!
Oh, bro, you didn't. They got sniper
Things couldn't
rifles.
get more chaotic. One of the shooters accidentally shot the fireworks stand and caused this to happen.
Well, it looks like
What did you think was gonna happen?
What is going on?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Sean. I don't think your yacht's gonna make it. But I think it's time for the next stage. Prepare the cannons! Let's see if you've learned your lesson from the last time we fired these cannons. Fire!
I think the dirt can help though. I really think. Oh no.
It's actually scaring me now.
Although one of the cannonballs hit his yacht, the
Look,
crate and mound
he'll
of
get
dirt were able to stop the
$50,000 for
rest
being
of
a
the
good
impact.
sport. Mr.
And
Beast
his
is a nice
defense
guy.
against my flaming catapults were so effective, he even caught a burning death ball.
I caught it!
Wait, did that land in the shipping container? At the rate we're going, this is gonna take all night. I think we just send everything all at once. I want you to launch cannons, fireworks, arrows, catapults, everything at the same time.
Nice.
3, 2, 1, fire everything!
The arrows don't do anything, so that's fine. That is a crazy drone shot.
How much smoke
That
is
is
out
crazy.
there? Like World War III.
How much more of this can I take, Jimmy?
Nah, I don't know, man.
You can't even see anything, there's so much smoke. And while we're watching Sean's yacht perish, we're gonna enjoy some chocolate. Fire the cannons! Sean, so far we've launched almost every attack we have on your yacht. But like every YouTube video I've ever done, we're saving the best for last. Or in your case, the worst for last. We took the 14 C-bombs from earlier in this video, combined them into one mega C-bomb, and it's currently on an RC boat heading directly to blow up your yacht. This explosion is going to be massive. All right, there she goes. There she goes.
They pulled the Finding Nemo.
Whoa.
That's a great shot too.
That was
Them in the
great.
bunker.
Dude!
Let's go see if it's
Let's go
there.
check it out. Let's go see my yacht!
Look at everything his yacht endured. I've done a lot of weird things. I've never experienced something like this before.
You didn't say it had to be pretty.
And after all of that, your yacht is still floating, but it does
It's
look like some
thrashed.
stray bullets and cannonballs made it through. So, boys, bring it up. Here's $50,000
Yes!
so you can actually repair this yacht.
Did I say it was going to be $50,000 or did I say it was going to be $50,000?
Yes!
Before we end the video, you're gonna want to know, what is the name of your brand new yacht?
Its name is...
Oh, and if you're wondering,
Yo, bro. Oh man. Wow, Mr. Beast, man. I've really enjoyed his videos. I mean, I've been watching him a long time, but specifically this last year, he's had a lot of fun ones, and he's like really branching out and getting crazy with it. Let's yeah, that's a good video. Mr. Beast, king of YouTube. Fire vid. So good, dude. All right. Let's talk about this. We're dropping a podcast
Xbox
tomorrow.
plan for. I want to talk about the Game Pass.
So let's just see what Asmongold says about this video, etc., etc. this is, I think, about Game Pass and Xbox and everything that's been going on the last.
Another Xbox video, because the situation over there just keeps getting crazier. So yes, this week we obviously talked about the shutdown of Tango and Arcane Austin, the developers of Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall, respectively.
Yep.
The decision to shut down the studios, especially
we're 2 weeks out
Hi-Fi
now.
Rush seems
2
insane,
weeks
but
out.
sort of reflects many larger problems with Xbox.
Will he pay for insurance? That's a good question.
Of which there was a lot of reporting yesterday about various new things related to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's currently a debate about whether or not to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. There's talk about
there's a supposed debate. Let's be clear. A supposed that hasn't been announced. There's no facts that say, at least not that I've seen or read, that say we are 100% debating whether or not we're gonna put Call of Duty on Game Pass. There's been no evidence of that. That is a rumor. Like, let's just be very clear here.
What's going to happen with Hellblade 2, if that could be successful, quote unquote, but not good enough for Microsoft. They might put.
I don't think Hellblade 2, the Senua's Saga, is going to make money. There's no way it's going to make money. Like, think about Alan Wake had like 5 times more hype behind it, and even Alan Wake hasn't turned a profit yet. So if Alan Wake couldn't turn a profit, there's no way Senua's Saga is going to turn a profit. No.
He's right. He's 100% right.
Oh, it was a mistake. Like, it's a financial mistake. It might be a great game. It might be really fun, but I'm just not seeing anybody making money off of it, right? No one cares? Yeah. No one cares. That's basically it.
That on PlayStation to sell copies because it'll be on Game Pass.
They marketed the game with a screenshot? There's no way. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing a whole lot of that.
And all of these issues sort of come back to the same thing. And that is a lot of questions about Microsoft's Game Pass model, how games are allowed to perform there, and what it takes to be considered a success there. My problem with this is that we simply have no real frame of reference in terms of what Microsoft considers a success on Game Pass.
Yes, we do. It's going to say money.
And what their plan is for the future. The Call of Duty question feels like
I don't think they really need to understand it. Like, I feel like Microsoft probably understands. Like, you think about it. This is a $3 trillion company. I mean, Microsoft has been foundational for software for like 40 years, 30 years. I'm sorry to say, but I think they know what the fuck they're doing.
Correct.
Like, let's be honest. The devs should get to know. I bet they probably do.
Real kind of linchpin moment for this entire concept where you've said the whole time all your exclusive games are going to be day one Game Pass, so that should in theory include Call of Duty.
It would.
But in doing that, you give up billions of dollars in revenue over the long term for forgoing those sales on a platform where Call of Duty is extremely popular.
Not necessarily. See, a lot of people don't know this, how the Game Pass model works. I think Phil talked about it, or I read an Xbox article. It was something, I think, official from Xbox or Microsoft, but it was someone from Xbox, I think. I'll try and find it, but they were referencing how Game Pass works. And they saw that they were actually making way more money because, okay, someone subscribes to Game Pass, okay? They're a subscriber paying every month for it. They get to try out games. They find a game that they like. They play that game on Game Pass, and they play it, and they play it. And let's say they play it for 6 months, and then that game goes off of Game Pass, okay? But they're like, oh, man, I like that game. I have fun with that game. I invested a lot of time in that game. What do? They go and buy it. And they say, okay, well, I still want to play that game. It's not on Game Pass anymore. Okay, I'm going to buy it. I have a tons of time put into it. I have like characters unlocked, yada, blah, 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 you name it. So then they buy it. But they don't cancel their Game Pass subscription because there's still other games on there that they like. So then it's a cycle that feeds itself over and over and over again. And I've seen this because when Call of the Wild, while that was on Game Pass, I got into that and I was like, oh, this game's awesome. Sunk a ton of hours into it, went off Game Pass. What did I do? I was like, I want to play that. And I bought it. Did I cancel my Game Pass subscription? No, because there's other games on there that I also play. And you see that with Game Pass. And I think what a lot of people don't see, and a lot of people, I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about this, is Game Pass is a long-term play. Game Pass is not a quick, cash grab, make a game, sell 1 billion copies, and then get out of Dodge. It is we want to keep you subscribed. We want to keep you locked in the ecosystem model. And I think that turns more money. I mean, they're not idiots. They've run the numbers. If Game Pass is going to be a complete failure. Like, they saw something in the data and the numbers that said, no, this is a good way to go.
So you're kind of screwed either way, but I'm leaning toward the fact that I think they're going to triple down on Game Pass and put it there.
I think they should.
As one last lure to get people to sign up. What I don't understand is...
Yeah, I feel like it's probably a better investment to get people into the Game Pass ecosystem than have them buy one game.
Correct. Because you buy it, you put the new Call of Duty on Game Pass for 6 months. Everyone plays it. Some people buy Game Pass just to play it. So you get, let's just say, sorry, I'm eating. Let's just say you put the new Call of Duty on Game Pass and you get 100,000 new Game Pass subscribers because they want to play Call of Duty. Well, after 6 months, when it goes off Game Pass, let's just say, 75,000 of them don't renew their Game Pass subscription. Okay, fair enough. You got it for Call of Duty. We don't have Call of Duty on there anymore. We took it off Game Pass. You still have 25,000 people who are now in Game Pass. And like, well, I won't cancel. Let me check out some of these other games. And there's a huge library. They're in the ecosystem.
Because there's always going to be the people that are going to buy the game anyway. Like, they're going to go and just go to the store. Oh, it's a new Call of Duty. I'm going to buy the game.
That's true.
What the plan is for longer term subscriber growth of Game Pass, because we know it has slowed just absolutely exponentially compared to the big surges that we saw during the pandemic.
I don't think that you can expect.
Yeah. Here's what he's going to say. I don't think you can expect it to grow at the same rate as it did when we were in a pandemic. That's crazy. And I don't think Microsoft thinks that. I think they want to see growth. Everyone knows that the pandemic was an outlier. You don't need that kind of growth every single quarter. That's crazy.
To have the Game Pass continuously grow forever. Like, at a certain point, you're going to reach market saturation, where everybody that's going to buy Game Pass has already bought Game Pass or has chosen not to. Like, you can't, nothing can just keep getting bigger infinitely.
Everyone was home, everyone was gaming more, the value of Game Pass kept going up and up and up with all the stuff added, but at a certain point, you've just reached saturation.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There are really very few wells left to, dig into for more subscribers, and I don't think Microsoft has come out with a coherent argument, for Game Pass to continue to expand at this point, and why they should continue to just solely rely on Game Pass.
I still don't think they've even, Game Pass is still so new. I don't think they've even tapped into what it could be and how many people they could reach with it.
This is sort of the future, and put all their exclusives on there day one, and why that is a good way to support the ecosystem.
I think that it's a really good way to do it, because I think that what Xbox is planning on doing in the future is integrating Game Pass into a cloud gaming business model. And I think that that's why they talk a lot about
Handheld.
South American audiences and audiences that are in developing countries, because they can't access a lot of the games because of the PC requirements. So creating Game Pass creates a foundation of a customer base to like proactively capture the market whenever they're ready to actually distribute that like to the public. Because like you remember, like that's what I think what's her name, Sarah Bond, the president of Xbox said. I think that's what their real plan is. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. And I think also, like, if
out of 300 million gamers across the world, 200 million play on mobile. Fun fact.
if you think about like how fast can data be transmitted theoretically? It can be transmitted so much faster than what the average human reaction speed is, that I think that cloud gaming it's an inevitability. Now, we might not have the technology for it right now, but it is an inevitable inevitable reality, and it will happen sooner probably than later.
Yeah.
Wait and see. Has it improved, though? It will. It will eventually improve. Like, really, like, it's crazy how people, like, are we really going to assume that it's never going to change?
Cloud gaming never, like, I've never had a problem with the idea of cloud gaming. I have never gotten into it for this reason. For the latency, for all, like, the problems, it feels different than just being connected, playing off of a disk, playing off of a file.
Change? Like, when has that ever been true for tech? Never. It hasn't been true for anything.
Yeah, cloud gaming will get there.
Bottlenecks are
It'll
holding
get
cloud
great.
gaming back, but it's improving fast. It is. And I think what's going to end up happening is that's why Microsoft is banking on this.
Again, I'm not arguing this is bad for players. Like, this is not, it's quote, player friendly, but obviously I think it is causing larger damage with the platform as a whole. And if your platform is damaged beyond repair, guess what? You don't really get to experience as many good games, or you see talented studios shut down, like we're seeing already in layoffs. The Game Pass ecosystem is heavily limited by Xbox console sales. That is very clear at this point, because
Why?
What is there beyond Xbox console sales? There is PC, where games launch day and date on PC, and then in Game Pass Ultimate, you can get the...
Well, there's also Windows and people that are using Windows. Like, for example,
Right.
You know how, like, Kick doesn't really make a lot of money, but Kick makes money through people that are using Stake? This is the same thing.
Right.
Is that this brings more people and keeps them inside of the Windows ecosystem. And it keeps Microsoft, like, if I were to assume, I bet like 95% of people use a Windows operating system. And every single different tool that Microsoft has that keeps people in that ecosystem prevents Mac OS, it prevents Linux, it prevents these other competing operating systems from even having a foothold at all. It's a loss leader, yeah. Because you think about it, like, how many people use Windows versus how many people are using Xbox? It's like a fraction.
These day one Xbox games on PC. Even still, if you are a dedicated PC gamer, you are probably gaming most of the time on Steam. That may or may not be enough for you to subscribe. Like, if you're a primarily PC gamer, are you going to be convinced necessarily to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass for Game Pass releases on PC? Maybe.
If you could get Game Pass on Steam, like, I'm subscribed to Game Pass because I'm a streamer and it doesn't matter, right? But if I was like a private individual, right, I was just a gamer, I would 100% subscribe to Game Pass if I could get it through Steam.
I was going to say, that sounds like a great deal. That sounds amazing.
If I could access Game Pass's library and Game Pass's like tools and games through Steam, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
it'd be crazy good.
You know, I think there's a relatively small pool of harder core PC gamers that are also
Game Pass as like a Steam app, basically, yeah.
For Xbox Game Pass, and I do not think that is a segment that is growing.
And I think
he just thinks that, though. He doesn't have numbers. Again, it's like, I just don't think that that's happening. So, well, Who knows? You could be wrong though. Could be right.
Also, like a lot of gamers, there's like a general fatigue, like launcher fatigue. Not everybody wants to have like 7 different launchers for things.
Oh God.
That's the way that I feel about it. I don't want to have 10 different launchers to play a video game.
Another segment that Microsoft
Same.
is really, nuts to go after is this idea that people who do not own consoles will want to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass so they can play through other devices through cloud streaming. This is, playing on your tablet, playing on your smart TV, like all these other places you can play Xbox games without needing a console. The problem is cloud gaming is a really, really niche market, and it is really slowly expanding over time. It is a tiny...
Does this guy have like any kids in his world, Gen Zers, like not even Gen Zers, it's the next generation. But like iPad kids, all they do is cloud game. The entire next generation of gamers coming up behind us, 98% of them are cloud gamers. Now that's not, 98% is the number I pulled out of my butt, but I don't think I've ever seen a kid like holding a controller ever. They are iPad gamers, iPad generation. That's cloud gaming. They're like pulling Roblox off the cloud. They're pulling, I don't know, Legend Cat Bridge Jumper from the like. The cloud gaming is massive, and the next generation coming up, that's what they are used to. That's what they expect. The next generation of gamers coming up, they are not expecting, I want a disc and I want to put it in and I want to own it and I want the game on the disc. That's my generation. That was 30 years ago, bro. This new generation coming up that Microsoft is trying to capture, they're cloud gamers, dude.
I don't think that's really the reason why they're doing it. I think the reason why they're doing it is because there are a lot of games that are made to play on a tablet, and also there's PC games. Like, how many of you guys are PC gamers and you have Game Pass? Like, in the chat. Like, you don't own an Xbox, but you just have a PC. Yeah. There's plenty of people that have it. It makes sense, right? Because it's a, fuck no, I'm not retarded. Yeah, there you go. But there are some people that are, and then they have it. Too many services, so not me. Yeah, I get it. Right? Too many subscriptions. True. Very true. But a lot of people do have Game Pass, and there's a good reason for that. It's the best deal in gaming? Yeah, I would say it's probably one of the best deals for sure. I don't think that being able to play the games on the other devices is really... I don't think it's connected directly to cloud gaming yet, because there's a lot of games on Game Pass that you can play on a tablet with no problem. There's a lot of games you can play on a PC, obviously, with no problem, or even a phone.
Part of the market, as Microsoft itself said in its court cases where there were concerns about having a cloud streaming monopoly, but they're like, it's barely a part of the business. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But like, that is something that they believe is going to be part of the future. But I have not seen the tech, evolve to a point where that feels necessary.
It'll get
but
there.
Even conceptually, I don't.
So I can talk from like my experience. So we use a program, it's called Parsec. And Parsec is basically a remote gameplay device where I'm playing a video game off of another computer. It's effectively cloud gaming. And I tried it out a number of times. Actually, you know what? Every single episode of Pixel Pitch that I do, every video game I play through Parsec. I actually don't have any of those games installed onto my PC personally. It's all through Parsec and through another PC. And I'm able to play those games and do them remotely with almost no issue at all. And this is, by the way, it's a Pecky's W, right? The production for OTK is fucking insane. They figured all of this shit out for me. So yeah, everything that you guys see me play and do on the screen, there is input lag, right? But it's like so minimal that it's almost not even existent. It is insane. It's
That's
not useful for
crazy.
games though. But I'm talking about playing games. I'm talking about me playing video games. Like that's what I mean.
I didn't know that.
Parsec
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very good.
Does he do that so that his editors and stuff can just get videos straight from the stream? like, what's going on with that? That's so insane.
Microsoft is looking forward to this. They know the tech limitations are temporary, but they're setting up the infrastructure as well as molding the masses to accept it and have it in place. Exactly, yeah. I think that's what they're doing.
Like, this makes a lot of sense because, like, the games you have on Xbox Game Pass, granted, it's a wide range of games, but you're asking people to pay, you know, what is it, 100, 140, 160, I don't even know what it is now. It's a lot for access to all of these games, the vast majority of which are, like, really traditional.
Well, this is a yearly thing, right? How much is Game Pass a month? Because I bet a lot of people probably just subscribe to Game Pass for like,
It's like 12
2
bucks.
months or 3 months. Like, that's probably what they do.
Core video games.
And the reason why I say that is because there's even a term for it in terms of like subscriptions, like you know, what do you call it? Like Hulu, Peacock, Netflix, etc. Like, there's even a term for people that are doing that. That's how common it is. So to assume that people don't do that with a gaming subscription service, I feel like you can't really argue that.
Really,
I've canceled and resubscribed to Game Pass a bunch of times.
into traditional core video games,
Churn?
probably own an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC already. I don't think there is this giant untapped market of gamers that would be, you know, really into these games. Would they just not have to spend $300, $400, $500 on a console?
There are actually, but the audiences aren't in America. South America, because like now obviously that I do game publishing, I know a little bit more about this. There is such a tremendous, massive market in developing countries, and particularly South America. And also India is another really big place. And obviously Asia, China, Africa exists. Africa, like, I don't even know if Africa is there yet, but I know that India and a lot of places in South America and even some places in China, there is a massive, tremendous market, and person for person, it outnumbers the US market by like 2 or 3 to 1.
Yep.
In terms of like how much these people play games and how much money they probably would spend if they could. Yeah, Brazil plays a lot. Exactly.
Dude, he's 100% right. I just watched a video the other day on what was it? It was like Venezuela's underground gaming community. And these people are so obsessed with video games, and Cuba. It was Cuba. And it was illegal. And they're so obsessed that they ran Ethernets. Long Ethernets, and they basically set up their own LAN party. They connected their whole neighborhood with LAN, and they set up servers and basically play World of Warcraft together, play League together, and they just play in their community all the time. And they're obsessed. They're absolutely obsessed. There's so many people that play video games outside of America. I think that's like one of the biggest problems with this whole argument is it's very kind of just like, it's just looking at what's going on in the States here. But if you like open it up and you realize there's like, you know, there's a billion other gamers outside of the country, different ball game, different story, different plan. And let's be very clear, Microsoft isn't just trying to get America. No, they're global market. They're trying to lock in the world, baby.
Instead, I think at best you are going to end up with people that don't buy an Xbox, and instead of buying an Xbox, they just do Game Pass and cloud gaming, which cuts into your Xbox sales.
Which is fine.
Xbox consoles has never been profitable. That's fine. Do people not know this? That they understand what it is. Their consoles are not profitable. They lose money on those. They always have.
And because Xbox is a loss leader, almost all consoles are made at a loss, or like they're not making a huge amount of money on Xbox.
Yeah.
Like they're making the money off of getting people into the ecosystem by having them buy the Xbox.
Correct.
Not anymore. Xbox does not lose money anymore. Well, we'll see what happens.
Speaking of Xbox sales, we know that they've stopped reporting these numbers like forever at this point because they were so far behind their competition. It was just sort of embarrassing every time they reported them.
Yeah.
And they
Sony
say they don't
completely
care
blows
as
them out.
much. They just want, gaming revenue. They want
Also, Sony is down real bad from the PS4. So
Game Pass numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the same as like, well, Sony's like PlayStation Plus is probably I bet Sony, if I were to assume, I bet there are probably 10 times as many Game Pass users than Sony PlayStation Plus users. So like, is Microsoft really losing with gaming whenever they're 10xing like that? Like, no. Let's look it up right now. All right, we're gonna look at PS Plus subscribers. So we'll go ahead. We're gonna pull this up. And
oh yeah, no, the Xbox blows them out of the water.
Have? March 2023, it has 47 million subscribers. It's PS Plus Extra. Oh, okay.
It's even worse.
6.1. Okay, so this gives you all the data right here. This shows everything. There's 3 tiers. So we'll go ahead and look at Soft Game Pass subscriber numbers.
Let's see.
34 million. So there's 3 tiers, yeah.
Because PlayStation Plus Essential is the free one, right?
Is this equivalent to the 33 for PlayStation Plus, or is it equivalent to the 8 for PlayStation Plus, or the 6.1? It's 6 plus 8? It's added up. Okay, so it's not like you choose extra or premium. It's not like extra is premium and then more stuff. PS Plus is necessary for online. Yeah, no, I understand that. Premium has extra included. So then logically it would be 8, right? No, both? Okay, well, either way. No matter how... Okay, so...
It doesn't matter how
like
you slice it.
I don't want to figure this out anymore because I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm getting too many different people giving me different data. Right? So like I can't judge what people are saying and I don't know this myself and I don't trust chat to explain it to me.
Even if you got it combined both at 14.
So either way though, either if it's 6, if it's 8, if it's 6 plus 8, it doesn't matter. It's still way less than Game Pass. So yeah. It's not 10x though, to be fair. What I said originally was 10x, but it's not 10x.
True.
But it is substantially more.
But again, like the primary way you expand Game Pass is expanding consoles because that is the primary way most.
I don't think so. I don't think so because the new market that's coming up that's here now of iPad generation kids, you want to get Game Pass on that iPad for them ASAP. You want to get them the games and stuff for that iPad ASAP. I don't think console sales is the only way to grow Game Pass. I just don't agree with that take. I think you go to where the consumers already are. You don't build a new thing and say, hey, come to here. Come hang out here. We're going to do this, and so you should come over here. It's like, hey, we'll meet you there. We got something cool for you when we arrive. Like, that's how you do it. So I kind of just don't agree with his take.
People are going to want to subscribe. And if you're limiting your reach by, like, quote, not caring about consoles and you're fine with 30% declines over and over and over again with your hardware because you're making the case that you don't need an Xbox. You can play on PC. You can play on your tablet. You don't even need, you don't even need Game Pass. You can just wait for the port to PlayStation, which just started, but like it is going to start ramping up and up with more and more games. And they've just been selling the idea that you don't need an Xbox, even though I would argue the Xbox is the primary point which these subscriptions are generated. So if
I don't know. I'd have to see the numbers. I really don't know. Speaking from as someone who's played Xbox for the last 30 years. What's up, Pan? I got an Xbox for a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is the games that I have played and I own and still want to play. And I didn't get the console for Game Pass. I wonder how many people actually buy an Xbox because they're like, I want Game Pass to play it. I don't know. I'd have to see the numbers. Again, I struggle with videos like this because he's just bringing. I think that it's all just like very, well, maybe this, maybe that. It's all feelings and thoughts, and there's not like a ton of data. I know he's seen stuff, but we just don't know when we don't have the P&Ls, when we don't have the reports in front of us about how these studios are doing and whatnot. And so it's a lot of just like, well, I feel like this is the reason why, and I feel like this is a bad thing, and I feel like this. It's like, well, what if your feeling is just wrong? What if the data says otherwise?
It's very hard for me to say if that's true or not. And I feel like obviously it might be the case now, but I think that as more and more people, like, I can't see consoles continuing to be more popular. I think consoles are going to decline in popularity, and I think they already are.
Yeah, that's
Because you're
true.
seeing so many other devices that are coming out that are cheaper than consoles or also double as a console. Like, for example, we don't have Game Boys anymore because everybody has a phone. And I think that's where console sales are really losing. Yeah, mobile and handheld is going to completely take over.
Feels like they just have
Which is why Game
so
Pass is a
few
good
cards
idea.
left to play. I think one of those cards is Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is a big enough game, big enough series where if you say, okay, if you subscribe to Game Pass, you are going to get the new Call of Duty every year for free, quote unquote, even though the total cost of Game Pass is obviously more than a yearly Call of Duty game. That could be a draw for some players that may not otherwise be subscribed yet, that could convert.
Well, and this is also a big component, is that, like, if you're broke, you know this. Excuse me. It's easy to get $15, but it's really hard to get 60.
True.
Like, it's easy to just get like a few bucks together every month and it's fine. But then if you need to get like $50, $100, that's really, really hard to do.
For some PlayStation players, but like, again, I don't know how much room for growth this is. It feels like everybody...
He's not at all considering the international market, which is just crazy. Billions of gamers.
That owns an Xbox that wants Game Pass is probably going to have it at this point, and especially if they keep upping the price, which they are allegedly going to do again, that is not going to...
Now, that could be a problem. If they start upping the price, that could be a problem.
To encourage even more signups from those that are kind of on the fence about it. And
somebody was confused in chat. Somebody says, did you say it's harder to get more money than less money? So basically, it's easier to get $15 4 times when you're broke than to get $60 once. And the reason why, and like you guys know this if you've ever been in a situation like this, is that you always have these like random expenses that come up that break you down to 0. That's usually what happens, is you get reset to 0 more often. So that's why. It's just bad management. Yeah, but guess what people that are bad at management usually are? If you're bad at money management, there's a better chance than average that you're fucking broke. Let's think this out for a minute.
It's weird to rely on Game Pass sustainability and Game Pass growth in a way where there does not feel like there's a clear path forward in terms of how to grow the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And, Microsoft always wanted to be the Netflix of gaming. They thought, okay, Netflix is destroying everyone with its subscription model. Like, we can do that too. Like, it's going to be, we're going to be first in class. And,
pretty sure Netflix almost a few years back filed for bankruptcy.
Well, Game Pass is, the most successful model of its kind in terms of like a system that offers sort of day one releases of big games. It's different than the streaming space. Like, first of all, a bunch of other rival streaming services to Netflix trying to do the same thing have failed or are failing or are losing tons of money because it is very hard to execute this and produce, high quality content that is offset by subscription numbers.
Well, Netflix also has first mover advantage. People have been subscribed to Netflix for over 10 years. All these new streaming services.
We were subscribed to Netflix when they would mail you DVDs.
Have come out in the last 5 years, and it's very hard for them to compete with Netflix because everybody already knows what Netflix is.
Netflix is streaming. It's like when people say Coke, when they're like, "Oh yeah, I want a Coke," and a lot of times that's synonymous with like soda or a pop or whatever, Coke, because again, just kind of that first to market like big name.
And also, like, the problem is that Netflix has such a massive breadth of content, whereas, like Peacock or one of the...
Their content's getting worse, though. And since all these streaming services have come up and started taking their content off of Netflix and putting it on their own things, it's definitely taken a hit. Like, sometimes I can't even find anything to watch on Netflix, to be honest.
These other, like Disney Plus, they don't have as much of a variety of content. They might have a very deep amount of content in one or two areas. Like, for example, Crunchyroll has a lot of anime, but that's all they have. And Disney Plus has a lot of Disney stuff, but they probably don't have a lot of other stuff.
True.
And that's the reason why Netflix pops off so much. It's because it's good for people that are just like more casual watchers. Yeah, Disney's only good for old stuff. Yeah, and that's the big reason, I think.
True.
That's why they're unable to compete against Netflix directly.
And payments. And then Netflix himself, they're having trouble because their market is saturated as well for the most part. So they're trying to pull out their last bag of tricks, like killing password sharing and things like this. I think they're going to not report subscriber numbers going forward too, because Wall Street hates every time their subscriber numbers don't grow or go down a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But Netflix,
that's what Blizzard did.
Contrary to Microsoft, cranks out really, really popular and or good shows all the time. Like, every week goes by and there's a couple of new Netflix shows. Like, if they're not, some of them are really good, many of them are not, but even the not good ones are really widely watched. It's a reason for people to keep their Netflix subscription because there's always something new. That's not true with Game Pass. The Game Pass idea is like, yes, it has this larger collection of games.
Well, to be fair,
what does he mean? He's like, there's new every single month. There's new games added, rotated in. That's paying $12 a month for that is okay with me, and especially when it's like new releases get thrown in there too. That's amazing.
Or like, if Starfield was as popular as Skyrim, I bet it would have added multiple millions of people that were subscribed to Game Pass. That's the big issue, is that...
Yes, exactly. If the games, like, once they hit on some banging games, like good games, it'll be huge.
There's no big game right now that gets people to go in and like purchase Game Pass. Correct. Like, for example,
That's
HBO Go.
It should have been Halo. Game Pass, the reason it doesn't have as many, it still has a lot of subscribers, but if Halo was a success, if Infinite wasn't an absolute disaster, it would send Game Pass through the roof.
What did people buy HBO Go for like 8 years? Game of Thrones. And as soon as Game of Thrones went away, I bet a massive amount of people stopped using it.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have like some form of like...
that premier IP. What could it be? What if they put all their Xbox exclusives on Game Pass?
Basically a blockbuster like hit, whether it's a game or a show or something, to get people to subscribe. Like Disney has The Mandalorian, right? I'm pretty sure that's the one. I haven't seen it myself. Palworld was probably the last big game. Yeah, but Palworld was still a small game compared to something like Starfield, like how big it could have been. So yeah.
I haven't heard from Palworld in a minute. I hope it's doing okay. Did it fall off?
Old games are added to it over time.
You need a killer app? Yeah, exactly.
These day one releases.
Killer app.
Big day one releases for Game Pass are so few and far between. How many truly huge Game Pass releases are there a year? 2, 3, maybe?
Starfield pretty much was the only big one.
Yeah, and it
flopped. Last year it was like Starfield.
Yeah.
And it was Hi-Fi Rush, which was a
Hi-Fi Rush was not a big release. No. It was not on the level of Starfield. Not at all. I didn't even hear about Hi-Fi Rush until it was like just on Game Pass. Oh, here's a game, Hi-Fi Rush. Starfield was in your face everywhere.
Surprised those were like the main ones, more or less.
Yeah, he's right about that.
This
So it's
year
just
it's
Starfield.
what? Hellblade 2, and then
Nobody cares.
if they maybe do Call of Duty, like again, it's like two.
He's right though. There does need to be Blockbuster. There needs to be a very, very compelling reason to get on Game Pass for people. For sure. Still praying for the new Fable to be good, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath. I want it to be amazing too. But Fable, that's a strong IP, right? Fable could be the game to bring a lot of players in. It could be. If Fable's amazing, that could be incredible, man.
Two big releases.
And this is what I was talking about on the podcast. We're dropping the podcast tomorrow, but yesterday we recorded it, and I was telling John, I was saying the whole thing about Xbox being in a battle for its soul, I think financially they're fine. But getting back to their identity, what is Xbox? Who is Xbox? They're struggling to figure out who they are and who they're trying to reach. And I think that there's a lot of it comes back to the games and the communities around those games. And I was just reminded of that because Fable was one of those Xbox games, and Fable, if it's incredible and good and they pull it off, could be a game to help bring back some of the identity of Xbox.
Year as opposed to Netflix, where you can peruse through 3, 4, 5, 6 new shows and movies every week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different system, and like Microsoft cannot pump out games like that. This quote from Matt Booty that they need.
But I mean, I don't want a brand new, like big 60-hour game every week. No one can keep up with that. I don't want that. So I don't expect it to be like Netflix. I can turn on Netflix and every week, and because I can watch a 90-minute movie, that's fine. But I don't want, I think once a month dropping 12 or 10 games is amazing. And if I can get to play 1, 2, maybe 3 of those, that's insane. That's great.
Smaller games that are big hits, like you're not turning around games in 14 months.
Well, that's making them try to compete with Steam, and there's
Well, they
no
don't
way they
need
can
to.
compete with Steam for game publishing. There's no chance. And I think that if they could do that, if Xbox Game Pass could actually compete with Steam and have competitive uploads onto Game Pass all the time, I think that it would be way better. But I don't know what the infrastructure for that would even look like.
Or a year and a half, even these
and also the other problem with Game Pass is that Game Pass is designed in a way that's beneficial for the people who make Game Pass, where there's advertisements and shit all over it. It's really annoying, whereas Steam doesn't have that. Steam is completely consumer first.
All games, Hi-Fi Rush took 4 or 5 years.
I don't use Steam
something
that much.
That just seems like, oh, this is a fun project by a couple of dudes. Power World.
Yeah.
Power World still took 3 years.
Well, a really good example of this is the Animal Well. It's the recent game that Donkey published. That's the kind of game that Game Pass needs to have more of, that come out very regularly, so it gives people that fresh new thing that they can try out that just popped off. And if there's no money that's being spent there, then it's going to be so easy for somebody to just, oh wow, it's a new game, I'm going to try this new game out. So I think that he's bringing up a really good point, that Game Pass does need that revolving door of content to make the experience and the purchase of Game Pass feel fresh.
I mean, I guess they could do it with, small indie games. I mean, they do it a lot, but I mean, I don't know. This is just my take. For me, I am not I want 15 new games every single week to look at and to try out, and so it's fresh. I'm give me a good game this month I can sink my teeth into. I don't need 10. But they usually give 10 games rotate in every month or something, maybe more. And there's usually 1 or 2 that I'm oh, this is fun. I'm having fun playing this, whatever. This is, eating up a few hours, whatever. I don't see this need to be like have 20 games and, you know, I don't know.
Just crank out huge hits in a short amount of time in order to like keep people being like, oh, there's this on Game Pass, there's this on Game Pass. Like it doesn't, the industry doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And granted, there
Game
are
Pass
problems
doesn't have
not
quality
doing this.
indies.
I've
Yeah,
talked
exactly.
many times about Sony and their giant budgets on their games have to be offset by these big sales, and they're running into issues there. They really need to start relying on live games for ongoing revenue, which they had Helldivers as a huge success despite the recent pickup. That's, you know, that's still a big success for them. And then you have, you know, the place that's performing the best obviously is always Nintendo, who is not doing layoffs, who is, you know, expanding things, about to launch new hardware. Nintendo always sort of has it made lately.
Nintendo is bullies. Let's be very clear.
But there are, you know,
and they're not consumer friendly at all. At all. They don't share anything. And look, it's their business. They can do what they want. But, like, people don't give them crap for, like, not sharing or being... They're the most anti-consumer company ever. They are all about Nintendo. Let's be super clear about that. And so it's like, they're... Yeah, sure, they don't have to do layoffs. But guess what? They've been anti-consumer, and they're not sharing nothing. So which world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where Xbox is like, hey, let's expand and give everything to consumers on whatever platform they're on? Or do you want it to be like Nintendo, where they're like, nope, we have a crap online service, we don't have any like throwback service to play all the games you purchased from us before, not anything great, and we're not going to share with any other platforms, and you just have to buy our Switch to play our games. What's up, Kaveen?
There are cross problems between the PlayStation model and the Microsoft model, but
that's because Nintendo's console is the only console that creates innate value. Nintendo's console is portable. There's no difference between a PlayStation and a computer. There's no difference between an Xbox or a computer.
True.
Like, it's really not. But for a Nintendo Switch, there absolutely is. And Nintendo Switch is not just a worse version of a computer.
It feels to me like the Game Pass issues are easier to see, and I don't think Microsoft has a coherent or compelling vision in terms of how Game Pass extends into the future and is sustainable. The room for growth does not appear to be there. Even if cloud gaming became like the number one source of gaming in the country, which it is not going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to be in 10 years.
I mean, it's not in the country, no. Like, this is a developed first world country where most people have access to technology.
Correct.
But, like, if you look at the whole world, like, Microsoft is $1 trillion company.
Nintendo, great games, awful company. True.
$3 trillion company, excuse me. Because they don't just look at the country. They're looking at the whole world.
Exactly, dude.
And I think that's the big reason.
I think it will. You still run into the conceptual problem of trying to convert non-console gamers into cloud gamers playing the same games. And again, I don't think the barrier...
No, you're not you're converting... What you're converting is you're converting mobile gamers. And people that have access to a device, like a tablet or mobile, you're converting mobile gamers to Game Pass subscribers.
Thank you.
Which is a pretty easy transition.
Yes.
To entry for
very
gaming
easy.
Is owning a console or not. It's just whether it's...
Because here it is, right? I think about my little cousin who plays games on iPad all the time. All it is, oh, you want to play this cool game? Yeah. Okay. Don't push the Roblox app. Push the Game Pass app. The green app with the white X. Push that. You're going to get to play all these sick games. It's that easy. That is a very easy transition to make.
It's like sort of part of your lifestyle if you have time to play, if it interests you.
Yeah.
The console barrier, if you remove the console barrier, all you're doing is selling less consoles. So again, potentially good for the player.
I don't think Microsoft cares that much about selling tons of consoles. I mean, obviously, business, it'd be good. You know, obviously, we want to do that. But again, it doesn't make them a ton of money. So it's like, it's not their thing, and it's not the primary way they're going to grow Game Pass.
Which is
Well, you're
great.
also selling less copies. And if you weren't selling less copies, then Square Enix wouldn't be shifting their model over to making everything non-exclusive. And Sony wouldn't be talking about shifting over to making things non-exclusive as well.
Yep.
Like, I think also, by the way, the big reason why that's happening is because they're worried about getting regulated. But I think the other reason is because it makes more money. And also, like, a lot of these big games that publish on PlayStation publish exclusively on PlayStation because PlayStation pays them a lot of money. And if PlayStation has to pay people a lot of money to publish on their platform exclusively, it implies that if they didn't publish on the platform exclusively, they would make more money publishing on other platforms instead. So it's like, I think that's just the logic to it, right?
I think Palworld was like a wake-up call for a lot of these studios, a lot of these big companies. Like, oh, shoot, we can put something out like this and get the world's attention, and they just released it everywhere, right? Palworld was just released everywhere. Maybe not Switch or something, but it's released everywhere. And it saw massive viral success. And if these companies can get a piece of that pie, that viral success, they want it. So they want to go multi-platform.
But as a strategy for Microsoft, not great. And even if things, seem player forward, if they end up hurting the games, hurting development, hurting the developers, causing layoffs, causing brand trust erosion.
The truth is we don't know how any and all of this is going to play out. We just don't know. The economy could collapse in a year's time or whatever, and we could go into a Great Depression. And guess what? None of this would matter. None of this would matter. And all of Microsoft projections, Sony's strategies, Nintendo's plans, they all go down the toilet. It's all dead. It's all dead in the water. So this is a much to do about nothing, but it's interesting to talk about.
It's not good, ultimately, for everybody. So
I think that it's very hard to say that the way that the studios are run will actually affect gamers. I think that he has a good point, and I think this does, like, whenever it is an extreme example, like the best extreme example I can think of is Blizzard in 2021, whenever Shadowlands basically turned into, like, the entire company went AFK to deal with the sexual harassment lawsuit stuff that happened in California. Like, that definitely is that bad, but I don't think that the average consumer and the average Xbox gamer or Game Pass subscriber really cares about anything other than the value proposition for Game Pass.
Correct.
Like, if you were to interview, I would say 10,000 Game Pass or 1,000 Game Pass subscribers
He's 100%
randomly.
Right. The reason I say this is because this is like my friends. These are all my friends. I have a lot of friends who play Xbox. None of them care or know. They don't know I have an Xbox podcast. They don't know that I stream barely. They don't know what's going on with Xbox. They don't know what games are coming out. They barely know what's going on with Xbox. Part of that is marketing has failed miserably. But the other part of that is they actually just don't care, and they have lives that they're living. They're working their jobs, they're raising their kids, they're married, they got things going on in their life that they just can't be bothered. Like, it's of no value to be invested in any of this. So he's right. It's the 1%, less than 1% that cares about any and all of this.
I think that the majority of them probably would not even know what happened with Starfield. They wouldn't know what happened with this recent thing with Hi-Fi Rush. Like, I would assume that less than 10%, if I had to guess, of Game Pass subscribers know anything more than a headline about Game Pass dropping the studio for Hi-Fi Rush.
I think it's less.
The only thing that the average consumer cares about is the direct value proposition of your product in real time to them at that exact moment. That's it.
That's it.
I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't think they know what they're doing over there. The fact that they're debating whether or not to put...
I don't like it. It's been a good video so far. But I don't know. It seems like a stretch to look over at a multi-trillion dollar company and be like, I don't think they know what they're doing over there. I don't think they have any clue. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're... It's like, they know what they're doing. They're trying for something. They're trying to execute a plan. Am I giving them too much credit? Am I really, like, do we really think that this company that's growing by trillions of dollars, it's like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't have a plan. It's like, what basis do you have for that? You just feel bad about what's going on in the Xbox world, so you're just saying that? I don't know.
Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Who said that? Can someone link me that? Where there was an actual factual, real, tangible evidence for this debate happening. What I read was there was a rumor. It's like, there's supposed internal discussions about blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Anyone could write that. But if an executive or someone was like, yeah, we're looking at the future of Call of Duty and what that means on Game Pass and whatever, then that means something. Then sure.
I don't think that Microsoft is incompetent.
No.
I think that if we think they don't know what we're doing, they're thinking about it in a direction that we're not thinking of. Now, by the way, I'm not like... I think Sony is like PlayStation is a better value than Xbox. Like I'm not a Xbox like super fanboy, but I don't think that they're stupid. I don't think Microsoft is stupid.
I'm not a fanboy, but
it's about to be announced in a month, and
it's just my preferred
$70 billion for Activision Blizzard, where Call of Duty is their biggest series by far. Like it's crazy that they would still like not have a coherent idea of what they're doing there.
Who said, were you in the meetings? I don't understand these people who talk. Like, they're in the meetings. They don't have an idea what they're doing. Were you in Kirkland? Were you in Reading last week, sitting down with the whole team? And they're like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. We got to come up with a plan for Call of Duty and Activision. We're not sure. We just made this acquisition for $70 billion. Not sure, though, what we're going to do about it. I don't know. Well, you should go make a YouTube video and just let people know we're not sure what we're doing. It's like, why, how do you feel confident to say this when it's like you don't know? And I'm not like an apologist for Xbox. Like I've had plenty of gripes about Xbox. It's my main console. It's my main platform. And it's far from perfect. But I just like, let's just be honest. Don't just say stuff to say it. Where are you getting this from? I'm confused. Can someone tell me?
And this question extends to a number of games, like smaller games. How is Hellblade going to be considered a success when all we have to go is Game Pass player count or whatever? Like, what is the metric? You would think, okay,
money.
It's just acclaim, and then Hi-Fi Rush, super well received, winning awards,
money,
all the acclaim you could want. They're dead. Doesn't matter. So
money.
What is the metric for success?
Rewards and acclaim don't make money.
Money.
The game probably didn't make enough money.
Money.
Who cares about how many game developers jerk each other off talking about how good the game is?
Money.
How many copies of the game did it sell?
Money.
How much money did it make?
Thank you.
We don't.
Which, by the way, I still think that they made a mistake. I don't know why. Like, I mean, I don't know what their balance sheet is. So, like, I don't really know this. But from my perspective, I think they fucked up by getting rid of Hi-Fi Rush Studio. I do. I think they fucked up. It was, which one was that? Tango Gearworks. Yeah.
It sucks. It's stupid.
But I also don't know the full information that they do.
And it appears like more layoffs are probably coming, not just in the industry, but at Xbox.
Oh, we have just entered the hell tide, my friend. We have just entered the hell tide. It has just started. The timer has just started going down. We got 55 minutes more of this, my friend. Have you seen the U.S. economy, brother? Oh, yeah.
Specifically
everywhere.
I'd say things are going to get worse.
Here's another component to that. Like,
was this guy a developer? I'm so sorry. Maybe I should know. I don't know. This is a reaction to a reaction video, but it looks like he's like on the verge of tears about this. I'm like, dude, this has been happening for years. All constantly happening for years. Why are we? It's like, it just sucks. Why are you so invested in Microsoft and Xbox, like emotionally? That's crazy to me.
For example,
now, if you had a bunch of friends who worked at Tango and they got laid off, or you got laid off and a bunch of your friends got, I get that. Like, I'm not trying to, obviously the first thing in all this, we always say, it sucks for the developers. It sucks for the people who just make the games, yada, yada, yada. But I'm not emotionally invested in this stuff.
So Duolingo is, let's see, I think it might have been here. I don't remember exactly when it happened. But I believe that whenever they made the announcement for some of the open AI changes, the stock price of this went down substantially. And you're seeing other companies that are getting the pinch because AI is encroaching on what their business model was.
That's kind of crazy.
And this is happening everywhere. It's not just like gaming, and that's my point, right? This is tech at a whole.
He's right.
Or they get better, but like I don't know. I
It's
just
unavoidable.
don't understand
It
what
is.
they're doing. I don't think leadership has been good during this whole time period.
You don't think leadership has been good. We'll see. I would say the verdict's out. We're only truly going to know when it's all said and done, right? We can look back at Sega and Dreamcast now with clear vision of what happened, and we can say what happened. And we're not going to know. We're not going to know until, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what the truth is. We can say what we think and what we feel, but we just won't know. We hope for the best, right?
And I think there needs to be a change. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Needs to be changed. What change? If you were put in charge of a billion-dollar company, what would you do? I don't know, dude. I just feel like it's very... And it's nothing against this guy. This is what like everyone's been saying. This video is an encapsulation of like 90%, 98% of the discourse around the last 2 weeks, where it's just like people are just saying, oh, I feel like, I think this, I feel... And it's like, well... they close these studios, so I feel like da-da-da-da, and so that means I feel like leadership needs to be changed, and I think that this, and it's like, no one's bringing, well, look, these are the numbers for Tango. This is what they did in 2023. This is what they did 2022, 2021. Okay, this is the profit and loss of their company. This is their trajectory. They are on a decline. In 3 years' time, they will be insolvent. They will be out of business. So do we close them now or close them later? Right? If we had those numbers in front of us, we would be singing a different tune. And so I just think it's disingenuous, and people are like Drake when they're talking about Xbox, and they're all up in their feelings. It's like, oh, let's just look at some data. Let's look at some facts. Let's look, like, yeah, it sucks. Layoff sucks, and we don't like to look at things that seem to be like going backwards or downhill, but you have to take a step back and look at the big picture. And I don't think a lot of people are doing that.
Maybe I'll get to Hades tomorrow. We'll see.
It's a great game.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Take care.
So yeah, I figured I'd watch this video. Paul Tassi writes a lot of articles. I read them a lot, and so he had a video. I figured I'd watch it and just take a look at it, see what he's got to say. I don't think that Xbox is stupid. I don't think they're being mismanaged either.
No.
I think that their plan is to capitalize on cloud gaming in probably 5 to 10 years and build an infrastructure around capitalizing on it now, so that whenever it actually comes out, they're using Game Pass probably as a break-even or even a loss leader, so they can massively capitalize and completely own the market in the same way that they do with Windows for PCs right now. I think that's what their real plan is, and in my opinion,
It's a good prediction.
if that is what their plan is, I think it's a really good fucking plan. That's what I think. Square Enix had a ton of layoffs today too. Really? Nobody's talking about how Tango fucked up whenever they opted for a new IP instead of making their biggest sequel, Evil Within 3, which Phil wanted. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Microsoft been saying for years they want to expand Xbox into the Asian market. Then they go and shut down their only studio in Asia. Well, they just might not like that studio, right? I mean, they can just get another studio. It's not a big deal. Paul gave Starfield a 9.5. Hey, you know, like, I don't know. Maybe he was playing another game, right? Maybe he thought he was playing No Man's Sky. They want first mover advantage on a subscribe to play platform based on mobile first. Exactly. This is like, this guy in chat, like, this is 100% where I think he's at. They want first mover advantage on a subscribe to play platform because you see that that's what happened with Netflix. And Netflix has such a massive advantage over every other place. There's a video, by the way. Make sure to give it a like. And yeah, Xbox and Game Pass is failing. I don't think that it is.
No, I don't think so either.
I do not think so.
Just in again, we were talking about thinking and feeling. Just based on 120, or not 120, based on what we saw, 61 million subscribers.
IGN gave Jedi Survivor a 9 out of 10, and Another Crab's Treasure a 7.
And I think a lot of the games they're getting, they'll pay $1 million or, whatever, $850,000. Like, hey, let us put the game on Game Pass, and then they're profiting.
7 out of 10. It got changed to 8 out of 10. Jedi Survivor. I'm gonna be honest, guys. The crab game is better than Jedi Survivor.
All right. Good video. Man, it's gonna be an interesting couple of years. I'm excited to watch what happens. Hopefully it's all good, but we'll see. We'll see. Also, I'm gonna check out this guy's video and just give it a like as well. Yeah. Interesting stuff. We'll see what happens. Okay. Well. Oh gosh. Okay. Should we go one more? All right, let's go one more. What time is it? Okay. This is the mistake that cost Xbox everything. More drama about Xbox, and hopefully I can summarize. If this video is what I think it's going to be, I can kind of summarize my thoughts on all of it in the last couple months. Here we go.
The wait is finally over.
From coast to coast, gamers
Classic-
lined up to get their hands
classic
on this
clip right
little
here.
package, Halo 3.
Ready to talk a lot of smack online?
Of course, you have to. If you don't, then you're a sucker.
We are here at the Best Buy Theater at Times Square for the release of Gears of War 3.
Clip.
We got all the fans behind me lined up. What's up, guys?
What a time.
Xbox in recent times has had some pretty interesting developments. On one hand, their gaming revenue is up thanks to things like the Activision merger and Game Pass continuing to be a really good offering. But on the other hand, their hardware sales are trending downward in a pretty bad way. Add on top of this the recent announcement of specific
Xbox consoles have never been profitable. We know this. It's to get people in the ecosystem.
games being ported to the PlayStation and Switch, and it seems
That's
like
fine. They make
Xbox's
money off that.
long-term play as a console provider could be taking a back seat in favor of just being a game publisher.
I mean, look, it's just a PC anyways.
Path, another games company.
Hold on. See, okay. Look. Everyone
And Switch, and it seems like Xbox's long-term play
I just
as a
want to pause
console
it on the
provider
Streamcast
could
here.
be taking a back seat in favor
Cool
of
little
just
transition,
being a
though.
game publisher. Path, another games company, went down back.
Here's the thing. Sega and Microsoft are not the same. Because I know what he's going to say. This happened with Sega and Dreamcast and da-da-da-da-da. But if you look into the history of Sega and you look into the history of the Dreamcast and everything, and you look at the two cultures at play here and you look at Microsoft, it's apples and oranges. There's the only thing that's slightly similar is just like, oh yeah, one's like, it's like going to software. But here's the thing. If you look at the history of like Sega and this whole Dreamcast saga, Sega was a company that did not like change and adapt, and they did not want to do things differently. They just like refused. They refused. And Microsoft, on the other hand, has been a very, very, Microsoft and Xbox has been a very future forward looking, consumer focused company. And so Microsoft is like all about adapting to the market, changing, making plays, moving forward, trying new things. Whereas in this time, Sega, they were not trying to do, they were not like trying to adapt or change. Look up like the history of Sega and just like watch the video and you'll see what I'm talking about.
In the day, whose mascot is a cute blue hedgehog. Now, Xbox has come out and said that they are still committed to the console and hardware space.
Especially because they're going to get into mobile. Bring the handheld, baby.
So for us on the outside, we are mostly left just scratching our head as to what the strategy of Xbox truly is. So far, only
mobile cloud gaming. That's the strategy. Why? Because 200 million gamers out of the 300 million on Earth, two-thirds of them are mobile gamers. They want to get a piece of that pie. Hence, they bought a mobile gaming studio with that King acquisition. Are we putting the pieces together yet, people?
Specific sort of smaller titles and live service titles are making their way onto the...
Because when Xbox first came around, mobile games didn't even exist. It was just a console and PC market. That's all it was. Now, totally different game. 200 million people playing video games on mobile. Xbox has to get in there. They have to get in there.
The other consoles.
That's their plan.
Who knows what the future could hold now that the floodgates are open. So while the future is up in the air for Xbox, what we do know is what happened in the past. Though we can always argue what caused where we're at today. At one point during the 7th generation, it seemed like Xbox had finally carved out its spot, especially in places like North and South America. But as future generations would come,
the Xbox One launch was failure.
Spot would seem to get smaller and smaller compared to those of PlayStation and Nintendo, heck, even PC gaming, which has grown a lot more mainstream in recent years. So while we kind of know what happened, with both very dumb blunders on the end of Xbox, but also solid strategy by their competition, one thing that I rarely see talked about is a major mistake that Xbox made, and that is the lack of focus on what I think Xbox did best: online play and social interactions. Something that I would argue that on the console space, they were the market leader, starting all the way back with the original Xbox console and going even stronger into that next generation with the 360. To explain why I think this mistake basically sealed Xbox's fate as a major player years ago, we do have to do a little trip back through time. But before we do, let's look at each console today and what they do best. First, we have PlayStation. The PlayStation ecosystem has a fantastic collection of first-party single-player style games, combined with a now solid online infrastructure for third.
I can't think, like, he showed Spider-Man. Last of Us, Helldivers 2, which was just recent. I can't think of a lot of games that I want to play. I could go buy a PlayStation tomorrow if I wanted to. PS5. I just can't. I've never seen, and I can't think of any games that I'm like, I want to play that. I don't think it's that great, but that's just me. I mean, people disagree. Consoles are being sold, so what do I know? But I don't know.
Party titles, or even the occasional online-focused Sony game, like in the case of Helldivers 2. On the other side, we have Nintendo, who remains the king of family games, and have completely carved out their own niche off the back of their most famous IP for years. But on top of that, in the recent generation, Nintendo was able to combine the markets of the handheld market, which they had already dominated, and the standard console market into one combined market, making the Switch one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Something that not only do Nintendo fans buy, but also people that own other consoles.
I know a lot of people who have Switches who don't even play them. I don't know. I have one. I haven't played it in probably a year, just sitting.
consoles, as it can be a great only console or a fantastic second console or console for someone who primarily plays on PC, thanks to the fact that it can go mobile. And then we have Xbox. What does the modern Xbox, the Xbox Series X or S, do well? Well, they still have a pretty solid online infrastructure for both third-party and first-party games, and they
Xbox Live is the best online experience for a console, easily.
They have some good first-party games, especially with the purchase of things like Bethesda and Activision. But with all of their exclusives also coming out on PC, and in some cases later on other consoles altogether, the place for the Xbox console itself has kind of become pretty small. Ever since the 8th generation, there's been that meme that Xbox doesn't have games. And while somewhat rooted in truth, Xbox in recent years has done a better job than they
Yeah, I mean, Xbox 360 was a monster, right? And I had, I've been in the Xbox ecosystem since 2001. Okay? Actually, technically 2002. Came out in 2001, late 2001. But 360 era, dude, massive games, massive IPs. You could only get them on Xbox. That's why I stayed on Xbox. It's because it's I want to play Halo. Well, I want to play Gears of War. I don't I'm not getting that on PlayStation, and these games are sick, so I'm staying here. And with that, they have lost their way for sure. With the downfall of Halo in the last decade, it's no wonder that Xbox consoles are dropping off. It's just part of it. And PC gaming has become massively normalized in the last 10 years too. It's so much easier to get into PC gaming. The barrier for entry is so low. Whereas when I was growing up through Xbox 360 era, it was a lot harder, man. It was just not as normal. It's easy to be just buy this, plug it in, and you can start playing. Whereas a PC, it's not quite that simple.
Once did. But again, with all of these games on PC or even coming to other consoles later on, the Xbox itself has less and less of a place. That and blow for blow, it's hard to say the Xbox exclusives really match up to those of the likes of PlayStation and Nintendo. Though hopefully this year, 2024, could maybe start turning that around with the likes of Hellblade 2 and the Indiana Jones game. And now,
I think both those games are going to flop.
With Activision first party, Call of Duty can add on to the Xbox side. You also have Fallout, which is obviously blowing up recently with the TV show, though unfortunately it's probably going to be a long time before we see another Fallout game, but we do have the Starfield DLC coming out sometime this year, so while Starfield had a little bit of a mixed reception and kind of
Was it mixed? Maybe I'm living on a different planet here.
Dwindled off a bit, and maybe it'll start to pick up more fanfare and a little bit more steam over time. So that's kind of where the consoles are at today. But let's back this up though a few console generations to the generation where Xbox had its strongest foothold, and that was the 7th generation.
True.
The Wii versus the 360 versus the PS3. Now I do just want to point out that like any person, my view is going to be a little bit skewed here as I grew up in America, and Xbox was much stronger here in America than across the ocean in places like Europe or even Asia. So my personal experiences here are that. My personal experiences growing up as a kid, though I'm sure many of you probably had similar experiences.
Those BR shots are not doing anything to that warthog.
But that said, what did each of these consoles do well? Well, the Wii, kind of like the Switch, was able to do something unique and because of this be extremely successful. And in the case of the Wii, it was basically a cheat code into the family.
It was kind of the first
its
thing like that.
At the time, motion controls, allowing games like Wii Sports to be in literally every person's house. But it was also still followed up by a solid collection of amazing first-party titles, like Nintendo always does. This was enough to carry the Wii to an easy first-place finish during that generation.
Super Mario Galaxy.
But the Wii did have its weak points, with weird versions of games making their way onto the Wii.
Well, you couldn't play any competitive games. Anything that took some amount of tech skill, you couldn't do it on the Wii.
And while the Wii did support online play, it was a far shot from the other platforms who did it much better. Now the PS3, well, just like today, the PS3 excelled in single-player games. Games like The Last of Us and the Uncharted series are all-time classics in gaming. But the roster on PlayStation went pretty deep. The PS3 also supported online play, but at the start of the generation, the features and just overall ecosystem of
And PS2 and PS1 games, right?
Online play felt pretty far behind Xbox Live, only catching up toward the end of the generation into the following generation. And then there was the 360. The console literally every kid had in my high school besides the Wii. This was the console to have in that 2006 to 2010 timeframe as a core gamer. And while it slowed down toward the end of the generation, due in some parts to some pretty poor choices by Xbox and PlayStation putting out some really solid first-party titles toward the end of the generation, the 360 would undoubtedly carve out a very respectable piece of the console pie. The 360 was versatile. While it had good third-party and even some good first-party single-player games, or games that came to Xbox first and other platforms later, the bread and butter of 360, in my opinion, was Xbox Live and online play. The 360 is where Xbox Live really became a cultural phenomenon in America. But the roots were set in the previous generation when Xbox Live was released in 2002 for the original Xbox console. At the time, this feature put it leaps and bounds above the other consoles in terms of online functionality, and it would only improve throughout the generation, gaining momentum into the next when it really caught fire. Now obviously PC gaming at the time had just as good, if not better, online capability, but for a console, if you wanted to play online, Xbox was where it was at. And the reason it blew up was due to many factors, obviously just plain old momentum. While the functionality for Xbox Live began back in 2002,
but 360 on Xbox Live was so good, man. Like, party chat and like all the interface and sending messages and voice messages, all that was, I mean, so ahead of its time.
not only did it need time to improve a little bit, you also needed
original Xbox Live was just like, it was cool because you could play online with friends. That's why it was cool. But other than that, there wasn't like too much. But 360, they amped it up big time.
Killer apps to really blow it up. Games like Halo 2 toward the end of the Xbox generation would begin building the foundation for the later 360 titles to build on. Internet across the world,
dude.
especially in America, also just got better as technology improved. In the early
DSL?
2000s, broadband would begin to replace the much slower dial-up, and by the mid to late 2000s, most homes would make the switch, which meant much higher speeds and better connections to support online play. And last but not least, I kind of mentioned those killer apps. Well, the 360 generation had a whole slew of them. Obviously, games like Halo 3 led the charge here, but even titles like Gears of War were huge.
These games look better than Halo Infinite, dude. I'll die on that hill.
During this generation, both as a single-player campaign and a multiplayer title, but obviously one of the biggest was Call of Duty, which began to explode after Call of Duty 4 in 2007, and it would only continue to grow throughout the generation. COD 4, World at War, MW2, Blops, MW3, Blops 2. This 6-year run by Call of Duty is something that will never be matched in Call of Duty, and for all of these titles, the place to play was Xbox.
What's funny is I was playing so much Halo and so much Gears of War, I never even touched COD. Never even touched it. I went from Medal of Honor to Halo, and then I never looked back.
Online console. If you wanted to play multiplayer games with your friends, you bought an Xbox. And if you wanted to just play cool single-player games, then you went with the PS3. And if you wanted a cool family console or you wanted to do some weird motion stuff,
AKA if you had no friends, you bought a PS3.
Then you went with the Wii. This was very much the mindset of many kids growing up during this time frame in America, and I can attest to that firsthand as someone who entered high school just 2 years after the drop of the 360. If you take a look back at these social media kind of waves at the time, groups like FaZe or Optic, who led the charge on YouTube when it came to gaming, where did they all play? The 360. And this was the same with most friend groups. Your friends likely all played on an Xbox, so if you wanted to play COD with the boys or Halo with the boys, it was going to be on a 360. And if you were the unfortunate kid trying to play COD 4 on a PS3, well, you got a little made fun of. It wasn't just a who's on what console thing though. The platforms themselves also heavily benefited from the franchises on them in both ways. If you look at the most sold games on the 360 and the PS3, you will instantly notice something very interesting, and that's the style of game that dominates the charts. Sure, some games hit both charts like GTA 5, which is literally the best-selling game of all time, but you'll see a lot of the rest of the top 10 for PlayStation and even beyond filled with a lot more single-player titles.
True.
Versus the 360, which is heavily dominated by multiplayer-focused games,
True.
or at the very least games that had a very big multiplayer component. Ignoring the dumb Connect game that was the most selling because it was bundled together, and the obvious GTA 5, you see games on the Xbox like Minecraft, MW2, Blobs, Halo 3, Blobs 2, Reach, Gears, etc. as you go down the list, and all of these games were either multiplayer focused,
Do people
or at
really
the
say
very least
Blobs?
had very big multiplayer components. You can even dive a bit deeper and look at the sales of some of these third-party titles like Call of Duty across the platforms. And I know it's probably a little confusing talking about Call of Duty as third-party because it's not anymore, but that's a very recent development, and back then, Activision was very much third-party. The best-selling Call of Duty on PlayStation 3 was MW2, with a very respectable 4.8 million copies, obviously nothing to scoff at. However, on the Xbox,
I've never heard that
not
before,
only is
Blobs.
MW2 not the highest selling Call of Duty, even that one sold almost 3 times the amount on the 360. Now, it's very important to note here that during the 7th generation, Xbox had deals with Activision that brought things like map packs to the 360 first, something that we would later see flip around in the next generation, until obviously more recently when Microsoft just straight up bought Activision. It wasn't just Call of Duty though that made online on the Xbox special. Games like Halo 3 and even Gears to a lesser extent were cultural icons for the time. I mean, we have all seen the Halo 3 midnight release videos and all the coverage around it. It's hard to explain if you weren't around or gaming during those times, but at least for people, you know, here in America or in North and South America, Halo 3 and that run of Call of Duty games were the Fortnites of their time. Everyone played them, your friends, your classmates, your teachers, everyone you knew. These games were huge, and while they all sported very good campaigns, they also included very fleshed out and popular multiplayer modes that would continue to be played for years on end. But even if you take Call of Duty out of the equation, comparing these first-party Xbox titles like Gears and Halo to the PlayStation equivalents of the time when it comes to multiplayer, it's not even close. Sure,
Looks
games
like
The Last of Us or even Uncharted had some pretty cool and underrated multiplayer modes, but they didn't hold a candle to the popularity and power of
Look how
peak
buttery
Halo and
smooth
Gears of
that
War.
is, man.
Xbox's unique selling point was that it was the console to get if you wanted to play online games. They even played into this by including a really crappy headset with the console to encourage online communication and hopping on.
Look, man, I used one of those headsets for years, and I was fine and happy about it.
One was as easy as plugging in an Ethernet cord or buying a wireless dongle if you were that unfortunate kid who had to play on Wi-Fi. And that unfortunate kid was me. I had to play on
Brutal.
Wi-Fi, which at first I stole from my neighbor's house because my Wi-Fi didn't reach up to my room from the basement. You even had these really cool social environments and games that were...
I remember you could watch movies. I think this is what this is. You could watch movies together with your friends, you like with your avatars.
All built around community and online play. Netflix was on the Xbox, and you might not think it's anything special because like now you can watch Netflix on literally anything. But back then, as Netflix was also starting to explode, having a console that you could watch Netflix on was pretty cool, and Xbox took it a whole step further because you had this cool theater setting where you and your friends' avatars could all sit in the crowd and watch a movie or a TV show together. Then you had some of the Xbox arcade games like Doritos Crash Course or
Marble Blast Ultra,
100, which were all of these online social games built around using your avatar and playing online with your friends and other people. While obviously something like Doritos Crash Course isn't going to sell a console, the abundance of cool online features that the 360 provided with Xbox Live was unmatched at the time.
For sure.
Everything from the UI to general functionality all favored Xbox Live when it came to online play. Xbox though messed up. Their unique selling point and lead was online play and games that featured very popular multiplayer modes. However, toward the end of the generation, you would start to see this
that battle rifle. I can hear it right now. It sounds like straight up trash. I hate it.
When we saw how badly it all went wrong. We all know the meme that was the Kinect, but we do have to be honest. Both Xbox and PlayStation wanted a piece of the motion control pie, and you can't deny the success that the...
He's right. This is where they I mean, they were trying. We'll give them that. We'll give them credit for trying, but they were trying to do Wii things when they should have been trying to do Xbox things. It's my opinion. They thought it was going to like take off like AI when it really is just like, no, it's not really going anywhere. Marble Blast Gold on my dad's Mac was my childhood. Crispy!
Kinect had.
Good to see
it
you, bro.
sold a boatload of units, and I bet off sales alone, it's probably considered a successful hardware accessory for the 360. However, its inclusion also had some very bad consequences that, while short-term were beneficial to the ecosystem, in the long run, I think end up really hurting Xbox. The Xbox One console as a whole is one of the biggest blunders when it comes to marketing, from trying to pitch an online-only console, which is funny because I'm talking.
Dude, do you guys remember that? Do you remember with the first, they were like, you have to plug it into the internet to like turn it on or to get it working? Like the very first release of this was nuts.
Talking about how Xbox's strength is
doing good,
online,
Crispy.
but they went a little too far with their pitch
How are you
at
doing?
first, making the console have DRM, so you couldn't do things like buy used games, and you had to connect online every so often, otherwise it just didn't work, to only shipping with a version that included the Kinect, making it more expensive than the PS4.
Advanced
Out of
Kinect.
the gate of that generation, the
I never wanted any of that crap. I saw that and I was like, I don't want that crap. I just want the console.
Xbox One got absolutely smoked. But the blunders had already begun prior to those announcements and decisions, and that was still during the 360 generation. To satisfy all the new Kinect owners, which like I mentioned sold a boatload, Xbox has many
Look at him trying to play Fable on a freaking Kinect. It's just like, why, dude? Oh my gosh. It's so funny watching people try and play real games with Kinect controls or Wii controls. It's ridiculous. 2 weeks till grades. Let's go, baby. Finish
other
strong.
game studios to work on Kinect games instead of standard core games. A move which at the time made sense, but looking back makes the glaring Xbox doesn't have game memes even worse. Toward the end of the 7th generation, PlayStation had caught up. Thanks in big part to all-time great video games, but also online functionality features catching up, and most importantly,
I hate
Xbox
that UI.
just crapping the bed and really letting their foot off the pedal.
Crapping the bed picture of Halo 4 Master Chief. That about sums it up.
Xbox
That's where we've been, man. And part of the reason Xbox has been like falling off is literally because Halo is falling off.
allowed its most important IP to slowly dwindle off over time, with basically no real replacement ever coming in.
Correct.
Halo began to
He's
fall off toward
100%
the
right.
end of the 7th generation, with both
trash
Halo
that is.
Reach and even more so Halo 4 having mixed reception, followed by even worse reception to the games that came out during the 8th generation, with MCC probably being one of the worst AAA launches of all time, and then Halo.
It didn't work. I was there. I have a video. I bought the game. Full price. I bought an Xbox One just for that. It's 1 a.m. You got to go? All right. Dude, thanks for stopping by. Finish strong, baby. Finish strong. But the game didn't even work at launch, period. It did not work. I paid $60 and it did not work.
Halo 5 coming after it a year or so later, having
It was just menus.
extremely mixed reception. Xbox's other big kind of homegrown IP, if you want to call it that, Gears of War, also began to fall off, sort
Yeah,
of
they
around the post Gears of War 3
crapped
time,
the bed
once
with
Epic
this.
Games would sell the franchise to Xbox. Epic would move on to their own projects that were no longer console exclusives, originally missing the ball a few times with games like Paragon and Unreal Tournament, but eventually finding the cash cow that was Fortnite Battle Royale. So not only did Xbox let its biggest hitting IP slowly fade over time, with nothing coming in to replace it, Sony would also swoop in with a sweetheart deal for Activision, giving PlayStation players many of the perks that Xbox players had seen during that 7th generation.
Yep.
This left Xbox in a horrible position. It was no longer the place for online play, or honestly play of any sort. And if you want to see how badly the 8th generation went, look at the best-selling list of Xbox One games versus the best-selling list of games on the PS4. The differences are jarring, and it really led us to where we are now. While the Xbox has bought up a ton of studios and publishers to try and get more games, they've still yet to have the smash hit that makes you need to buy an Xbox. But even then, nothing is exclusive to the Xbox anymore with all of their titles on PC day one. On top of this, these days most third-party multiplayer games are completely cross-play, and if they aren't, there's probably more players on PlayStation or PC. Xbox really blundered their lead in the online realm, and it's one that I truly believe cost them the console war, or at the very least...
Honestly, though, the consoles, for all of them, the consoles are probably going to fade out eventually. It'll turn into more of like a premium thing. That was going to happen regardless, I think, with technology.
Made the console war a lot less fun, as they were no longer a head-to-head competitor, with the likes of PlayStation. These days, Xbox seems content just being a software provider, with a piece of hardware that you can buy if you want, but at one point, especially during that 7th generation, they really felt like a true hardware contender. I'd love to look at Xbox today as the multiplayer or live service platform, while letting PlayStation come in with those huge budget single player titles, and then have Nintendo off to the side printing their money and making sure to DMCA strike random PC mods as a pastime to keep the lawyers awake.
And just, you know, be anti-consumer in general.
That isn't the case. Xbox isn't the anything platform, other than a box to play Game Pass games on if you don't have a PC. Or in my case, a console to literally just play backwards compatible games from the 7th generation because I'm that much of a boomer. In reality, though, the case to buy or need an Xbox is getting smaller as time goes on.
I think, and my brothers talked about this a little bit, but I think my Series X is just going to be my Xbox everything console. And I'm just going to use it for every Xbox game from this generation past. The next Xbox that I get, you know, whatever their new one is, that's going to be a big leap forward. I think I'll do that as well with only just exclusive games. I'm not going to turn that into another Xbox 360, original Xbox, Xbox One game player. I'm just like, I got my Series X. I'm going to use that for all things the last 20 years of Xbox. The next Xbox console, I'm just going to use that for the, you know, the premier games, so to speak.
And while I don't want them to stop selling consoles, it doesn't seem like it would be totally out of left field if that news came out in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
Xbox should and could have continued to be the online kings, but a lack of focus and change in priorities toward the short-term sales of motion controls cost them in the long run, and without ever finding new homegrown IP.
I don't think that's just it, and that's something I was going to say about this video. I don't think you can credit this to just that or even just games. I think the motion thing is a very small part of it. I think some missteps in their strategy with like the Xbox One and doing the whole cable integration and then the motion controls for Kinect and that's all part. The games I think is one of the biggest pieces, but also we have to take into account that none of this happens in a vacuum. Right, guys? So it's been 20 years, and it doesn't happen in a vacuum.
To replace the fallen kings of Gears and Halo, it just feels like Xbox let their place in the console space slowly dwindle. For a little set dressing, here are two of the biggest live service online multiplayer developers today, Bungie and Epic Games, both of which work directly with Xbox back in the 7th generation. But between Epic Games selling them Gears and moving fully third party, and then Bungie having such a bad relationship with Microsoft that they literally got out of the contract, left Halo with Microsoft just to go off and create their own game, which ended up becoming Destiny. Now obviously a lot goes into it, but just imagine if one of these studios had stayed with the Xbox ecosystem and brought their online innovations to the Xbox platform. Or maybe both of them left anyways, but a different first-party studio, like maybe Rare, could have picked up that mantle a lot earlier. Rare currently still runs one of the bigger live service games when it comes to the Xbox platform, and that's obviously Sea of Thieves, which also recently came to PlayStation. But Sea of Thieves came out of the gate pretty slow and kind of built up momentum over time, but Rare also spent some time making crappy
My dad plays Sea of Thieves all the time.
Kinect games, when they could have maybe started development on something like Sea of Thieves many years earlier if it wasn't for the Kinect. In recent times, Xbox has tried to combat this with things like the purchase of Activision and other studios, but it just feels too late, especially with all the Call of Duty titles still being available on PlayStation regardless, at least for the foreseeable future. During the legal proceedings of the Xbox and Activision merger, we saw the stats kind of showing how little of Call of Duty's player base even remains on Xbox. A mere 8%. Now obviously that was pre-merger, but nothing major has really changed on that front, and unless Xbox pulls out a major strategy shift for Activision, I don't really see the needle moving.
They have Game Pass. All those mobile players, if they're gonna get them on Game Pass. And guess what? All of a sudden, let's go back to this real quick. Where is it? Where's that graph? Where's the graph? Where's the graph? Xbox is the lowest. Start with Call of Duty's daily active users. So they bought Call of Duty, they bought Activision. Well, one, now they just own this pie basically. But it's like, yeah, they're gonna have all these, and Game Pass runs on mobile.
Little of Call of Duty's player base even remains on Xbox.
They're going for that
a
mobile
mere
pie.
8%. Now, obviously, that was pre-merger, but nothing major has really changed on that front, and unless Xbox pulls out a major strategy shift for Activision, I don't really see the needle moving very much on that front. And if you just back up and look through the list of most played games on Xbox as a whole, well, Xbox is losing the battle on its own grounds, while also bringing some of their better online games, like Sea of Thieves, to the PlayStation platform. Now, who knows what the future holds for Xbox? And I'll still be here as just a fan of video games who just wants more cool stuff to play.
True.
But I do wonder what the gaming landscape would have looked like today had Xbox maintained a focus on multiplayer games and functionality instead of whatever they did for...
I've said this before. Halo would be as big, if not bigger, than Fortnite if it would have been able to keep the success. If 343 wouldn't have taken it over and run it into the ground, and Microsoft wouldn't let them run it into the ground, if Bungie was committed to that, and there was a crew of people who loved Halo and not hated Halo working on it, it's such a strong IP that it would be as big as Fortnite today. That's what it would look like. That's how the landscape would be different.
Like a generation and a half. These days it seems like they're really trying to go head to head with PlayStation with big budget single player titles. Starfield, Redfall, Lamau, the Indiana Jones game, Hellblade, etc., etc. But what if Xbox had diverted on their own and gone down their own path many years ago? The gaming landscape could be totally different and maybe a lot more fresh and unique. Obviously, who knows, that's just my opinion, but that's kind of where I'm at. I think Xbox should have maintained that focus on online games. Maybe that's because I'm biased and I love multiplayer games and I have so much nostalgia for those peak Xbox titles and just Xbox Live as a whole. But I do really think Xbox had a really big lead and they kind of just squandered it all. I just wanted to hop in while I was editing this because some really big Xbox news just dropped, and that was the shutdown of 4 of their studios. These were Arcane Austin, the developers behind Prey, and then more recently Redfall, Tango Gameworks, the developers behind The Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, and most recently Hi-Fi Rush, and then Alpha Dog Studios and Roundhouse Studios. The one that's more surprising to me is Tango Gameworks. This is a studio that's really only made good games, and then Hi-Fi Rush was received
well, yeah, good games, but good games don't necessarily make money.
Extremely well, but apparently maybe it didn't sell very well because the game was on Game Pass, and many people, me included, just played it through that. I think we're gonna have to kind of wait and see how this all plays out, but it does make you wonder if Game Pass is kind of screwing over some of these studios.
No.
Or maybe Microsoft and Xbox are just trying to cut costs wherever they can. I'm not too sure as I'm kind of editing this video, but
they're just not building games that build communities and make money.
But I wanted to throw it in because it is pretty big news, and I think this could end up having pretty big ramifications for the future of Xbox. As
sure, some ramifications, but the reason they did it is they want to focus all that money and manpower on games that are making money. That's why.
As we wait and see how this plays out. I think is going to do it for the video. If you made it to the end, you're a legend. I appreciate you. I also want to give a big shout out to all the patrons over.
Great video. The biggest thing with all of this is that none of it's in a vacuum. So we can look at the last 20 years of Xbox, and if we're just like, well, this is what Xbox did here, and this is what they did here, and this is what happened, and then this is what they did, and this is what happened. That's all good, but they don't exist. Microsoft, Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, none of they don't exist in a vacuum. And so we have to take into account, what does the U.S. economy look like this time? What's going on in the world? What about, and he touched on it a little bit with the development of technology and internet and everything going on. Like, there is a massive, current events going on at all times through all these 2 decades. So you have to take that into consideration when you're talking about this. you know, there's economies and recessions and all that stuff that affects how these companies make decisions, and all these things are massive factors that play in. And especially with the recent, you know, all the Xbox news, no one's talking about everything. They're acting like it's all in a vacuum. And I'm like, well, no, let's actually look at the big picture. That's all I've ever been trying to say these past 2 weeks. Anyways, great video. Yeah, it'll be interesting days for Xbox, that's for sure. That is for sure. All right, guys. I'm going to bounce up out of here. I love you all. Latvian, thanks for hanging out. I pinned your comment on the video clip. Nice. Love it. Feel free to clip anything and everything all you want. I'm going to bounce. Run a couple errands. Use the bathroom. And we'll chat soon. Should I stream tomorrow? Let me know. Shoot me a message on X. Co, thanks for being here. Easy moderation day. Quiet chat. Easy mod day for you. We'll see you soon. All right, guys. Peace out.